Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. What's up, my friends? How are you? How are you, everyone? We should now be live on the Twitch. We should now be live on the YouTube. And we're gonna go live on TikTok today. Let's give it a shot. I know it gets a little bit chaotic with all of the chats, but let's see how it goes, shall we? So let me know if you can hear me. I can see Jolanda Demetrius. I can see Marianne Art as well on YouTube. I can see Beckerdraw, Lortellum, Anthony, Solid Mango with the sub. Thank you, my friend. 21 months. 21 months. It's a lot. That's almost 2 years. Doing all right. How's your week? It's been fun so far, I think. I went to my hobby yesterday, had a fun time there. What else happened this week? Oh, we got some good news for the contest. I'm gonna show that in just a second. What else happened? Yeah, I think in general things went well. Good week so far. Good week so far. It's oh well, I'm a little bit sad because Mexico lost, of course, on Sunday. That's a great game. If you guys saw that game, oof. Great game, right? But yeah, unfortunately, Mexico lost there. Okay, let's see. Go. Give me 1 second. What did you happen? So lately I've been playing Pokemon TCG, the card game, and the new expansion just came out. Well, it's about to come out. So they do this thing where they have something called a pre-release event, where you go to the store and you play with a pre-built deck with some of the new cards, and you get some booster packs as well. So it's fun. It's fun because everyone just we're all in the same sort of like playing field because everyone's playing like new cards and new decks. So yeah, it's fun. Give me 1 second. There you go. Okay, that should work. And now, of course, camera. Flip it. Work. I think that should work. And let's go live. Music's a tad loud. Okay. Let me change that. Give me 1 second. That should be a little bit better. Is there going to be a portfolio review at the end of the month? That's a question from Stefan. Yes, my friend. Of course, we're going to have one at the end of the month. This month, we're going to have it on the very last day. So that's July 31st. July 31st. Let's call this character Sculpting. Okay, cool. We should now be live on TikTok as well. Yeah, no, don't worry, man. Don't worry. I mean, we're using the Chill Hub stuff, so it should be fairly easy to get that there. Where is the chat? There we go. We have the chat here on TikTok as well. Cool. Okay, we're about to start, guys. Ducatello says, very excited to start making stuff for the contest. Not too late to start, right? No, you're not late at all, my friend. You're not late at all. You still have, like, literally 1, 2, 3, 4 full weeks. 4 complete 4 weeks pretty much to finish the stuff. I would say definitely get on it. Don't waste any more time. 4 weeks, I think it's like more than enough for a good piece for the portfolio. But yeah, you're good to go. Make sure to join the Discord. Make sure to check the rules, and make sure to start working on it. Make sure to follow the rules. We don't want anyone being disqualified at the end of the whole thing. So, yep. See if I can fix this thing a little bit. That one, this one. There you go. It's a lot trickier than you might think trying to balance like multiple streams here. So bear with me. If you are watching on TikTok, just say hi or anything on the chat so that I can know that you guys can hear me. And thank you, Daniel Vasquez, for the little thingies there. I'm sorry, guys, especially if you're watching on TikTok. I'm really new to the TikTok live stream platform, so I don't know all of the things and pieces that happen here. But I know that there's like a little rose and a little like heart. There you go, Parmesan boneless wings. Great name. Awesome. Yeah, Ducatello. That's great. I lost like 4 days due to no power. Need to catch up. Oh, yeah, man. I saw your message. Sorry that I couldn't answer. I did saw your message, and yeah, that sucks. We do get blackouts here in Mexico as well every now and then. It's pretty annoying, to be honest. They usually, at least where I live, they usually don't last that long. I think the longest we had was like 2 days, probably. But yeah, I know that can be quite complex. Okay, cool. Drinking a little bit of coffee. Drinking sounds very Mexican. Drinking. There we go. We got Anthony on TikTok as well. What's up, my friend? Hello. Okay, cool. I think we're ready to start. You know what, Alan? I was gonna ask you. Could you send me the link to the little banner thing that we have? I for some reason I'm always leaving it on the downloads section of my computer. And then when I clean it up, I forgot to save that one, so I lost it again. That's why we don't have the cool transition anymore. But Alan's gonna send it to me, and we'll have it for next time. Let's see. Do you have a UPS in case the power goes off? No, I don't. I should, right? I should buy one. Probably should buy one. They're a little bit expensive though. I mean, they're not like super expensive, but it always hurts having to buy it. Here in Mexico, they're like $200 or $250, like the one that I need. And I actually need 2. I need one for my computer, and I'm gonna need one for like my modem, right, for the internet. So yeah, I'm cheap. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Thank you. Are you able to GPU render for Maya still? It doesn't seem to work anymore for me, at least. I mean, last time I tried it, it did work. Haven't rendered in Maya in a long time, though. So yeah. Okay, yeah. What's up, guys? Hey. Again, no transition today, but we should be fine here. How did the on from TikTok site? Guys. Is there an issue to start 3D first instead of 2D? Well, it depends, Luke. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a 2D artist or do you want to be a 3D artist? I mean, you could potentially be both, but there's different avenues for each of them, right? Like there's different skill sets that you need to develop for each of the different like things. So yeah, here, vertical scene. There you go. Now you guys can see me. Oh, the guys at TikTok are already seeing the screen. Okay, so let me just go mainstream here then. There you go. Cool. So the call to adventure topic is very intriguing. First thing that came to my mind was Bilbo Baggins gathering courage and stepping in his front door. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we wanted to do for this particular contest. We wanted to make sure that it was something that was very broad, right? Because that was one of the, not complaints, but things that people mentioned on the last contest, on the Echoes of Caer Aurelia, which I love, by the way. But I always love fantasy, right? So I was definitely biased on that one. And And what they mentioned is like, oh, it would be cool to have other types of topics, right? So it's like, okay, you guys want different types of topics? Let's do different types of topics. And that's what we have, call to adventure. So an adventure can be anywhere, right? It can be in space. It can be in modern day. It can be sci-fi. It can be Lovecraftian. Like there's so many different things that we can do as an adventure, sort of like a starting point. And yeah, so for those of you that are unaware, we are running a competition here on the channel, and it's been running for the past couple of weeks. So if you haven't heard of it, well, that's weird because we've been promoting it quite a bit, but that's fine. You still have 4 more weeks. It will run until August 6th. So you still have like literally 4 weeks starting today to finish this. What you need to do is make a character. Make a character that's starting his or her adventure. Again, it can be anything. You can check all of the full rules on the Discord channel of our server. And yeah, you're going to be able to join this. There's multiple prizes, and that's what I want to announce right now. We have a new sponsor. We're going to be showing a short very soon for them, but their new sponsor is, of course, Cascador. So give me just 1 second here, and I'll show you what Cascador is, because Cascador is a very cool software. I actually have it. I bought it a couple of years ago. It's a really, really cool software. This is for animation specifically. And what Cascador does is it uses a sort of like mix between traditional key pose or pose-to-pose animation system, but it has a bunch of different tools that allow you to make the whole process a lot more streamlined. So it helps you with balancing the character. It helps you with posing and making sure that movements flow in a nice way from one place to another. So as you can see right here, for instance, this person is animating or using this pose as a reference, and the body sort of like adjusts itself, and it helps you with the like fluidity and movement. It's not a solution. I am going to mention this though. It's not like the perfect solution. If you're an animator, this doesn't mean that this is going to do the full work for you, but it's definitely going to help you, okay? So if you already have strong bases, strong foundations, as with anything in 3D, then you are going to be using this. Yes, it does have AI, but we've talked about this. It's not generative AI. This is using AI as a tool. We've mentioned that before. We've had that discussion as part of the channel as well. And as we've discussed before, having AI assist the tools is not something that we're gonna like be against, or necessarily that we're gonna despise, or like what's the word, oh man, I can't get that word exactly, but it's not something that we're just going to be hating, right? I hate generative AI, but this is not generative AI. You still need to know about animation principles. You still need to pose the character. You still need to rig the character. You still need to have the character, right? So there's a bunch of different things that you still need to do. However, it's a good option, especially if you're working on small teams where you might not have as many animators on board doing every single step. This is a really, really good way to do animation. So Cascador is going to be offering free licenses for the winners of the contest. If you win first place or second place, you are going to be able to get a license for the software. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So we already have licenses for Toboggan, licenses for 3D Code, licenses for Marmoset, licenses for Cascador, as well as the money prize here on the Element. So yeah, that's gonna be, I believe now the prize pool is like really high on the contest. I think we are probably close to like 5,000 USD on the whole thing. Let's see. I tried this Cascade software in this week. In this 2 week is so great. Yeah, it's really cool. I do believe they have a free version. Let me check that real quick for you guys. Not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure you can trial it, right? Like get it. There's a student license. I'm not sure what that covers. There you go. Yes, for instance, look at this. Like the indie license, just $8 per month. I think that's pretty fair. But they're going to be giving away the pro license for some of the winners, I believe. And I don't remember if second and third place are going to get the indie license or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that the pro license is the one for the main winners. So yeah, I think it's pretty affordable. It's pretty cool. It seems like teachers and schools get it for free, or you can apply. So that's also pretty cool. So yeah. Like, give it a shot if you want to get it. It's a good option. For instance, especially for me, I'm not an animator, right? So having just the basis of animation on my own, and then using tools like this, it's pretty cool. I've talked to several of my peers who are on the animation side of things, and they say that yeah, it's a pretty cool tool. It doesn't necessarily 100% replaces an animator. Like again, you still need the fundamentals, but you will make it a lot easier for yourself. So yeah, pretty cool. Let's see. Did I miss a question over here? I don't think so. Freddy Bear, welcome to the stream, my friend. It does have some animals animation creaturology. I think it does like horses and things like that. I'm not sure if it does everything, every single like quadruped and stuff. But yeah, there are certain things that you can't adapt it with. There's like, for instance, Unreal invested in this guys, I believe, last year, and they got like a grant, and now there's like a live link thing with Unreal, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't tried that one yet. Haven't tried it, but yeah. And usually what you end up doing with this kind of tools, by the way, guys, again, so you guys are not scared of this whole thing, is that this guy allows you to export everything back to Maya, right? So as an animator, what you might be using this software for is for an initial sort of like blocking / cleanup pass of the animation, getting some timing right, making sure that the physics and everything are looking quite nice. And then once you're happy and you want to sort of like push it forward, you want to make it a lot more exaggerated or a lot more intense, you bring it back into a software like Maya or Blender or even Unreal, right? And that's where you will push the rig a little bit more, right? Like you'll push the animation a little bit more. So yeah, cool tool, man. Cool tool. I really like it. And we're really happy to have them as our sponsors right here on the channel. So today we're gonna be working on the character that I was working last week, which is this one right here. This alien. And I want to start doing some like armor pieces. Like we're gonna be doing a little bit of like hard surface stuff, I think. It's basically for body animation. It's a tool, yeah, that helps you with body animation. It's a little bit more aimed towards like realistic type of motions, right? So even though you can definitely have a little bit more stylized or cartoony things, because it uses again a little bit of physics, it has like its own physics engine, and it does use some AI, not in the way that we see like a generative AI, but it does have some AI stuff with it. You can generate some really cool things. Software for animation, that was Cascador. Cascador. This is a software that allows you to generate like very nice fluid animations. It's really good. It's really fun. You still need to keyframe again. You still need to know the basics of animation. It's not gonna do the whole work for you, but it's a really cool way to help you get to sort of like the next level. Okay, and they are, as I mentioned, the sponsors or part of the sponsors for our contests. Is 4 weeks the usual time character artists are given when creating a character? Depends on the character. If you're doing a character for like a AAA game, let's say like Kratos, right? Or the new Luffy or whatever character. No, like those characters take months and months and months and a whole team, right? Like there's, I don't know, like 10 different people working on a character like that, because there's going to be one guy who's doing like the sculpt, there's going to be one guy doing the props, there's going to be one guy doing the hair, there's going to be one guy doing the textures, there's going to be one guy doing the shading, there's going to be one guy doing the rigging. Like there's so many things that go into it, right? But for a character, let's say for like an indie game or something like that, then yeah, usually like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, again, depending on the complexity of the character, you might encounter that sort of like time frame. But it really depends. It's unfortunately not a specific thing. Like for instance, you guys probably remember James Marzano. He was a judge on one of the contests a couple of years ago, or last year actually, on the Caera Aurelia one. He works on miniatures, well, not miniatures, on collectibles, right? So he does collectibles. He is working right now in Riot, I think. And from what I understand, sometimes those collectibles take like, again, like a couple of months, like several months, and it's just a sculpt. Like they don't even like texture it, right? Like properly. It's just a sculpt, and it still takes quite a bit of time because there's prototyping, there's things that need to be tested, there's like a bunch of different authorizations and things like that those elements need to go through. Nick Nuclear says, oh, awesome, thank you for clearing up on the AI part. Yeah, and this is, again, a conversation that we've had before, and I think it's worth mentioning it again. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the different types of AI, right? And I mentioned that I personally consider there to be 3 types of AI right now on our industry. First of all, we have the tool-assisted or AI-assisted tools. So these are tools that use AI as part of the tools, right? Like they use some information and some, yes, of course, like data analysis and whatever to give you a better result on specific tools. Like what I just showed you with Cascador. Like it will be using a little bit of physics and AI to figure out the best thing to, or the best pose for some specific parts of your character. Those type of tools, those type of AI uses, I don't think are bad. Like, I think they're fine. I think they're actually great because they can really help us. And I'm going to show you, for instance, another example right here. Like here inside the Photoshop, one of the AI tools that I use quite frequently is this thing right here, which is the selection tool. So with the selection tool, I can literally just click on an object and it will automatically select the whole thing because it knows what is the background and what is the object. So when I'm building my thumbnails, this saves me so much time. When I was a student, this is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would have to use like different techniques and lasso tools and selections and elements to try to specifically select something. So I am not against tools that use some sort of AI to help us work faster on the stuff that we want, because there's still the creative options or the creative control on what we want to do. So that's the first sort of like type of AI, in my opinion. The second type of AI would be something like language models, right? Like Gemini, ChatGPT, which I think are helpful, but we do need to be careful about the kind of information that we're given by them, because sometimes they are going to be wrong. Sometimes they are going to invent stuff. If you've tried them before, they tend to agree with you every single time. Like if you ask a question, they tend to be very agreeable, because one of the things that the model wants is for you to keep feeding it information. So if you're going to be using LLMs, or if you're going to be using that for research or even for learning, right? Like sometimes I ask questions, like if I'm working on Blender and I don't remember how to do something, I'll ask, hey, in Maya, this is what I do. How can I do that in Blender? And it's going to give me an answer. Might not be the best answer or the most up-to-date answer, but it's going to give me an answer. And at that point, my responsibility as an artist is to use that information and be like, okay, that's the answer that like a ChatGPT or Gemini is giving me right now. I need to go out and confirm if that is the right answer, and I need to implement it and make sure that it works, right? So that kind of use of AI, I also think it's fine, but again, there should be a little bit of what's the word? Not discipline. I'm not exactly sure of what the word is, but there's need to be some. We just need to be careful about the information that we get and not blindly trust it, right? Like we should always confirm and make sure that we understand. I guess that's another one of the things that I would say about AI. If we just take for granted what the AI thing is saying, and we just roll with it, we're not really going to understand the underlying concepts of the questions that we're asking. So it is important to sort of like ask ourselves the question, well, is this thing that they're mentioning actually true? Is this actually the way this thing is supposed to be working? Once you do that, then awesome, right? Like we can keep going from there. And finally, we have the third type of AI, which is some of the questions that I'm getting right here about like image generation, video generation. I hate it. I completely hate that kind of stuff. I don't like using it because it just completely removes the creative part of the process. And the creative part of the process is the most fun part of the process. So if you're a concept artist and you're using AI to generate your references, like someone is asking right here, no, why? Why are you doing that? That's just stupid. The world, our history, all of the photographs that we have, all of the information, all of the illustrations from, I don't know, like medieval times and things like that, all of those things are the best kind of reference that you can ask for. Because at that reference, you're going to take that reference in your brain, and then you're going to use your own experiences and your own taste, your own decisions to make something that looks cool. So I don't see why you would be using an AI that is, again, generating something just like a conglomeration of the average of what everyone else is thinking about. Not only are you going to get something that's completely unoriginal, it might look polished. I'm not going to deny that. It's going to definitely look polished, but it's going to look so generic and so unoriginal that you're going to be, like, it's going to be very, very hard for you to really find an actual, like, use case for that kind of stuff. So personally, I do not like any type of generative AI. Like, if there's generative AI, I will not take it. Unfortunately, there are softwares who are like AI tools and will also have like generative AI stuff. What I just do is I just stay away from the generative AI stuff. I just focus on the tool. For instance, I know Photoshop has AI generative stuff, right? Like, I can go right now into Photoshop and be like, hey, generate a background of this and this and that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to use those generative tools inside of Photoshop because I don't want to be a part of that, like a process on the software. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to use some of the other tools that Photoshop has because it makes my work a lot easier. So it's that kind of stuff, right? Let's see. I use AI to learn, just like that. I do everything myself and use GPT Claude to ask questions regarding what I'm doing and how to do it. Not to do it for me, but to assist me. Yeah, it's a good support system. And for instance, there's going to be new softwares that are going to be implementing that kind of stuff. Like, there's like search functionalities inside of Maya now. I think Blender also did something like that, where you have like a little AI assistant and you're like, hey, I'm having struggles. I'm struggling with this tool. What should I do here? And that, I think it's fine. I don't really see that big of a deal with that kind of like stuff, right? There might be some people that think that's cheating. I personally don't think so, but yeah. Have you gotten clients pushing those AI tools on your workflow? I use Claude for coding and Cascador. So because I'm not an animator, I don't use Cascador as much, to be honest. We might use it on a project that we're working on here in the studio in the upcoming weeks. But I haven't really used it as much in production. But I mean, I use some of the, again, like Photoshop stuff quite a bit for the content here on the channel. Some of the like subtitles that we do for the shorts, that's also, I believe, right, Alan? Like, I think we use Premiere Pro, and there's like a subtitle function that we use for that. So yeah, that's there's a little bit of everything. That was a firestorm in the Blender community. Yeah, but I think the thing, Becker Draw, because I did saw a little bit of that, like backlash that Blender was getting. It was because they were pushing generative AI, weren't they? Like they were doing like image generation and things like that. Just confirm if that's true, because I don't exactly remember. If asking AI a question about the problem you want to learn about is cheating, then using it. Exactly, yeah, exactly. So that's why I think, again, LLM models are fine. Like I like them. I use them. They can definitely be helpful. But it's always important to follow them up with research, right? Like to confirm that whatever the LLM model is telling you or explaining to you or whatever is actually like the way to do it. Artists used to always want to be original and have their own style. I think this was much better. I also think that's the good process. It's definitely dumb to use AI gen for concept art. Takes the soul of the... Exactly. And here's the thing. Someone confirmed this to me, but I think the director from Take-Two, he mentioned this, and it was a very wise opinion or statement, where he said that AI cannot see towards the future. AI can only see towards the past, to what has already been done. So AI analyzes all of the images that have already been done, and then they come up with something, right? That's not something that I want. I feel like that's just stupid, right? Especially in games where we want to see new things, where we want to see innovation, where we want to see originality, where we want to see new IPs and things like that. Using AI or using something, a tool in this case, that doesn't look towards the future and rather looks towards the past, well, you're just going to be a derivative thing. You're not going to be an original thing. And most people don't want to be a derivative thing. They want to be original, right? So... Hi, Evan, guys. I personally use AI for troubleshooting and technical aspects. Yeah, I also do that as well. Every now and then, if I get an error and I don't know what the hell's going on, I'll go to again. I personally use Gemini. I like Gemini because it's actually having it included on one of the packages that I buy or whatever. And I was like, hey, like, I don't know, Zbrush is acting weird. This is happening, or this is the kind of behavior that I'm expecting, and it's not working that way. What the hell should I do? And it'll give me an answer. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. So yeah. I work with fine art peeps, and they wanted to use AI all the time for my references to sculpt. Oh man, I got that the other day. Well, not the other day, but last year. Hope the client doesn't see this, but I was working with a client, and it was a nice client, to be honest. The client was quite approachable, and he was nice to work with, right? But unfortunately, he was using a lot of AI for the references. Same stuff. Like, he wanted some sculpts for 3D print, and he would give me like what's the word? He would give me AI reference, and it was impossible to match it. It was literally impossible to match it because it made no sense. It looked very pretty, it looked very nice, it looked very polished on the image, but when you translate it to the 3D world, like, certain things would not match, certain things would not be specifically the way that that the client wanted, and it just became a mess. Came to a point where the client was very indecisive, unfortunately, so it came to a point where I was like, hey man, I can't keep doing this. I'll refer you to someone else, and I think I sent it to one of my friends, and was like, I can't. I give up. I literally gave up on that one because it was just like way too difficult. Spy Flash says, hey man, I've learned a lot from you. You have helped me keep going. Thanks for inspiring me in my journey, man. You are welcome, my friend. You're welcome. That's what we're here for. Art is a beautiful career. Yes, it can be challenging. Yes, it's not super easy. Yes, society thinks we're not important, we don't matter, or we're just playing in front of our computers. But art is very, very fun and very rewarding. So if I've been able to help you in your journey, man, I'm really grateful for that as well. Thank you for allowing me to be part of that journey. Let's see. How do I show you my work progress? Well, if you mean portfolio review, we have portfolio reviews at the end of the month. Every month we have portfolio reviews. So this one's going to be on July 31st. We're still like 3 weeks away from that. You need to join the Discord channel. That's the first thing you need to do. And once you're inside the Discord channel, there is a specific place where we have portfolio reviews. And in that part of the portfolio or the Discord, you can submit your portfolio once we open the submissions. Right now, of course, submissions are closed, so you're not gonna be able to what's the word to submit, but you're free to join the Discord, be part of an amazing community. And again, once we open everything, you should be able to submit. Do you make Blender lives also here on TikTok? No, I don't use Blender as much. I use it. Don't get me wrong. But I use Zbrush more. I use Maya a little bit more. I use Marmoset quite a bit. You guys see this render? I have it here. Look at this. I was having a lot of fun with this render yesterday because I was preparing the thumbnail for today, right? And I was like, let's just do a quick preview of the character. Look at that, beautiful. That's a material, by the way. This is a clay material. It's called clay M strokes. If you have access to the library here, just library. And then just look for clay. And there we go. Oh, come on, Marmoset. No, Marmoset! I was talking good about you. I was being nice, man. You know, that's how 3D softwares work. You get used to it. There you go. So we got the recovered version. So yeah, so this is the clay M strokes material. And the cool thing, this is a new feature from Unreal. This is a new feature from Marmoset that they introduced on Marmoset 5, on the new version of Marmoset, which is the fact that you can now change the texture option. So instead of using UV, if I try using UV, as you can see, there's nothing, right? Why? Because this is just high poly. If we take a look at the wireframe, you're gonna see that this is a very heavy decimated mesh. So we don't have UVs for this thing. But the cool thing about, again, presentation purpose, or just for presentation purposes, is that I can change the options here on texture from UV to triplanar. And what that does, it literally just projects it on top of the object. So like a procedural element, like a procedural texture. And as you can see, in this particular case, it's giving me this very nice looking, like clay-like approach or clay-like feel. Of course, with a couple of like cool, interesting lights and everything, we now have a nicer render in this case for the thumbnail, right? So for presentation purposes, I think this is very powerful. Eventually, of course, I'm gonna do UVs and I'm gonna do texturing and everything bakes for this character. But yeah, it's fun to be able to see a nicer look. Yeah, it's exactly. It's kind of like sphere UV projection. It's technically a cube. Like if you want to go very technical with this, it's using a cube projection. So you have a projection from the front, a projection from the side, and a projection from the top. And on the corners, it might be a little bit difficult to see right here. There's going to be like a blend. I'm not sure if we can see. Actually, I can show it to you here. If I go here to the edge fade and I make the edge fade really low, I guess. No, actually, it's doing such a good job right here. It's pretty much impossible to see where the where the effect is, to be honest. But yeah, there's technically a corner, like a little corner thing, where you might see where the triplanar is happening. But yeah, that one very, very cool. Let's see, how nice of a result do you think one can get with polypaint only plus Marmoset render? You can get really, really far. And again, especially now if you use some of those like triplanar or the masks that they introduced on the new versions of Marmoset, you can get some really, really cool stuff. So yeah, I think you can get something cool. Do you have any tips on hardware for a new 3D modeling student? It depends on the budget. It really depends on the budget, to be honest. If you have like a lot of budget, like if you can afford like some of the very expensive like computer pieces, then that usually can help quite a bit. Of course, it's gonna make the whole process a lot more streamlined for you. Unfortunately, 3D is one of those careers or situations where having a powerful computer, it's not going to make you a better artist, but it's definitely going to allow you to work a lot in a nicer way. Like it's just going to be more comfortable to work with the tools when they don't crash as much, when you have enough RAM, when you have enough space, when your graphics cards is, you know, powerful. So all of those things can help with the process. It's kind of like using nice paints or nice brushes, right? But it's not going to necessarily make you a better or a worse artist. But yeah, it depends on the budget. Like right now, I recommend if you can afford at least 32 gigabytes of RAM, you're gonna be golden. Like 32 gigs is really nice. 16 is like the bare minimum, I would say. 8, you're gonna be pushing it. It is possible, but you're gonna be struggling. Like 8 nowadays is like a really low amount of RAM, unfortunately. So yeah, you definitely want to have at least 32 if possible. I have 64, and I've thought about upgrading to what's the word, to 128. Haven't done it yet, but it's on my plans eventually. I don't necessarily need it, to be honest, because I'm not doing like heavy simulations or anything. Like for sculpting, modeling, texturing, 64 is like perfect. Is it hard to set up realistic hair physics into game engines like Unreal? Do you happen to know how AAA do this? In Unreal's not that difficult. There's actually literally a physics like button. You just click on it, especially if you're using splines, right? So if you're using XGen and then you're exporting the Alembic cache to Unreal, it is expensive performance-wise, of course, but if you're doing that, you can very easily set up physics. They're gonna be using something called spring physics, which are they're quite interesting. They might not be the cleanest ones, but they're quite interesting, and it's a good way to get the hair to look nice. Otherwise, you're gonna have to rig the hair, right? Like if you're using hair cards, for instance, you're gonna have to create a rig, like a chain, and then that chain, you add physics to that chain, right? It's not, again, I don't do that very often. I usually stop at the modeling, texturing, shading stuff. That's something that animators or technical artists are gonna be doing, especially in big productions. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's like the most difficult thing, to be honest. My PC specs are RTX 4080 and 128 GB. Oh yeah, that's now you're just bragging. Aleko, now you're just bragging. Now that's a good setup, man. That's cool. Now use it to your advantage, man. It will be a shame if you don't make good use of it, right? So make sure to use it. Let's see. Oh, 3090 FE over here. That's nice. I was watching Ian's stream yesterday. No, on Wednesday. Ian is one of the senior guys at Zbrush, and he had the specs on his computer. He's using like the 9000 RTX. It's one of those like production cards, like really powerful. Really powerful. Is it possible to find remote work for 3D? Yes, but your real and your online presence needs to be really strong, right? Like you need to ask yourself this question, John Owens. You need to ask yourself this question: why would someone hire me across the world when they could hire someone close to them? Like, what is the skill, or what is the value that I bring to the table, even if I'm really far away? Right? That's the main answer. And this is not only for art. This is something that works in every single business. Like, what is bringing, or what is making you different than any other person that could potentially be hired to fulfill the same role? Because there's multiple people that can do something similar to what we do, right? In every aspect of our lives. So there has to be some differentiating factor that's going to make people pick you rather than anyone else. And you need to figure out what that, and you need to capitalize on that. Yeah, Dirty Monk. I think that was the A9000 or something like that. Does Zbrush have a subdivide problem where the amount of faces is unequal on the sculpt? No. When you subdivide, every single face gets subdivided equally. If you're asking if we can subdivide unequally, like if we can locally subdivide a specific part of the model, yes, we can actually do that. I showed that a couple of weeks ago. Was it weeks ago? I think it was weeks ago. Where you can do that. You can subdivide things unevenly here inside of Zbrush, and get a different result. Hi, sir. I have a question. As a beginner artist, if we started working on a project and there are some things that are very difficult to model in that specific project, so how we should tackle that? Can you give me an example? Is there a specific like object or character or something that you can think of where that has been the case for you? Because my answer is probably going to be, well, if it's way too complicated, pick an easier project, right? Like, I know it sounds very stupid, but sometimes we do tend to pick projects that are a little bit outside of our current abilities, and we think that just by picking the project we're suddenly gonna win or achieve or get those abilities. And well, of course, that's not the That's not the case, right? So my first question would be that. It's like, are you picking something that is within your current skills? And I actually show you this, guys. Show you this. This is why you should do your research. So I did this video, I think almost 3 years now. It's still there. You can still watch it. And I made this thing here. It's like a little poster. So this is our Google Drive. You can access it on the Discord, on the official links part of our Discord. And I made this guy right here. It's called How to Pick a Project, right? It's a little sort of like a flow chart that you can use. Because this is a question that I get asked very often by my students and by people here on YouTube and everywhere. And it's like, hey, the first question is, what do you want to do, right? Do you want to learn something new? Do you want a portfolio piece? Or do you just want to have fun? If you want to learn something new, you choose a skill or area to learn, right? I'm going to learn modeling. I'm going to learn anatomy. I'm going to learn texturing. I'm going to learn UVs. Cool. And the first thing is you pick a simple concept to understand the principles of what you're trying to learn. I know it sounds very stupid when I read it out loud, right? Like, I feel like Dora the Explorer, like just telling the obvious, but people seem to like really skip the steps when they're thinking about the project. Once you master that one, you pick a more advanced like element or concept to challenge the things that you learn in the first simple ones. And finally, you pick like something really, really complicated, really intense to really master the skill and fully understand it. Now, if you don't want to learn something new and just want to make something for a portfolio piece, if you have an area of focus, then review what you already have, decide a time frame, and pick a concept and do it, right? Pick a concept within your skills. Finally, if you just want to have fun, which is, for instance, what I'm doing right now with this particular project, then just pick a project and go for it, right? I might be learning new things while I'm working on this particular element right here, or I might not. We don't know. But the point is that I'm going to be having fun and just improving or polishing some of the skills that I currently have, okay? Let's see. How long would it take to you to create a full character, including grooming? For instance, I'm gonna give you an example. If it was something like Geralt, right, from The Witcher, I would say probably like 6 weeks, like 6 weeks to a month. Given that there are no, like, I don't get too many like changes or feedbacks from the client, right? Like, if they're very, very sure and the concept is very, very clear, then usually that's including groom. 6 weeks to 2 months should be a good time frame for a character at that quality, right? Like Geralt from The Witcher 3. If you're thinking about like Ciri from now, the new Witcher that are going to be announcing, that's probably going to take way, way longer. And again, it's usually not something that a single person does, because at that scale, when you want to have like super intense quality, every single artist that gets like invited or that is part of the project will have a different type of specialty, right? So you're gonna have groom artists, someone that's super specialized just on the groom side of things. So if I'm not a groom artist, then I'm not gonna be doing anything hair related. The groom artist will. So it can be complicated, or it can be like really, really ambitious there. I have a weak question for animation characters. Is Retopa done before clots and merge after? What do you mean? Clots? It depends. If you could clarify the question, let me know, because I'm not entirely sure what you mean. But if you mean, like, usually you will have, like, for instance, this character. I'm thinking about adding like a loincloth to this character. So he's gonna have like this sort of like skirt, sort of like flowing around. So armor on the top and then a little bit more loose on the bottom. And that loincloth right there, I would like to be simulated, okay? So if I want to simulate that, I'm gonna be doing that after the character is like rigged and everything. So you would animate the character without the loincloth, you'll do all of the animations, and then you do the simulation for that thing, and you bake that simulation down. That's what they do for films. You probably have seen this. So for instance, if you look at like Frozen animation making of, right? In Frozen, the characters always have a lot of like very interesting flowy dresses, but the animators, they look more like leggings or like this, like body tight suits. There you go, like this one right here. So this is what animators see when they're animating the characters. It's there's no clots. Like it's just like a complete solid object. It's just the main mesh of the character, and then once the animation of the character is ready, then they will simulate the clots on top. That's how they do it, because otherwise it would just be like way too expensive and way too time consuming for the animators to try to fight against what the cloth is doing. So most characters will be like this. Like they will have this just painted sort of like idea of where the dresses and the elements are, but eventually they're going to go through the CFX department, which is the character effects department, and those are the guys that are going to be doing hair simulation, cloth simulation, muscle simulation, right? Like fat, if you have like a more realistic character and you want like the folds and the muscles to deform and move very, very nicely, that's where the CFX department comes into play. Again, these some big studios on big productions. If you're working on an indie game, it's a different thing. It's a different process. When you dress a character, is it retopo, then you move it to marbles and dress? Yeah. So if I wanted to dress this character, I would probably retopo first, or have like a very like clean, or not very clean, but like a cleaner mesh before moving it into marbles. I like that one. Do you like that one? Kind of feels a little bit like Gears of War, so I might change a couple of things there. I'm not using any reference, so when you don't use a reference, that's actually a really interesting point. When you're working on something and you don't use reference, what's gonna end up happening is that your internal tastes, right, like the things that you like, the things that you resonate with, are gonna start sort of like showing through. So I do like Gears of War, and that's why that thing right there kind of looks like the Gears of War, like like chess piece, right? So be careful with that, especially if you want to be a little bit more original. You want to look for other types of references so that you don't get super influenced by a very specific style or a very specific thing. What's my favorite Gears of War creature? Creature. I don't know if I have a specific creature that I really like. I just like the series in general. Gear meets creepy Halo. Yeah, right? You can bake cloth and image to bones if it's for phone games. Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of workarounds. 6 weeks working like one. No, Kadelsi. What the hell is that question, man? Kadelsi is asking if it's gonna take me 6 weeks to do a full character working 1 to 2 hours per day. No, man. I'm talking full-time work, right? Like if you're in the studio, you're gonna be doing like 8 hours per day minimum, right? It's very common, unfortunately, in our industry to have a little bit of overtime here and there. So no. Like there's no way you can finish like a Geralt character, like a Witcher character, at that quality in 1 to 2 hours per day during 6 weeks. Like that's just not gonna work. No. Hate giving bad advice by not using reference. No, I mean, first of all, yeah, you're right. Like we should be using reference. Like I should have a reference board. In this case, I just want to be, a little bit creative and see what I can come up with. But ideally, yeah, even when you're designing, you should have reference. Now, that's a good question, actually. If I was going to get some reference, I would not get reference from Gears of War, because whatever you gather the reference from, that's how your stuff is going to turn out. So instead of that, I will go and download references from protective gear from football players. I would grab references from astronaut suits. I would grab reference from motocross, like protection pads, right? Like all of that kind of stuff can be like good elements for reference that are not necessarily going to influence or change or make the thing look way too similar to what we have right here. Yeah, and any single project as Sculpting here on TikTok, every single project that you do will challenge you in different ways. So in this case, freestyling is gonna challenge me into trying to figure out like interesting compositions, interesting silhouettes, things like that, right? If I was following a reference, at that point, then you need to work on making sure that you match the reference, so that you're really close to whatever the reference needs you to achieve, right? So you can learn a little bit about everything with any type of project. I will, Alec. I will. When you're painting something and you're not using references, you're drawing stuff from your memory, imagination, and that's where truly original work comes from. Yes. However, again, as I mentioned, we tend to forget certain things, right? Here, I'm gonna give you an example. Actually, I'm not sure if I want to give you this example because then my tablet's gonna start like not working. Well, let's say whatever. I'll do it for you guys. I'll take the hit. So let's say I'm painting something, right? Like I want to paint whatever, like a freaking apple or something like that. The problem with that is, intuitively, when I'm painting an apple, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna paint the apple red, and we're like, yeah, there we go, that's a red apple, right? And I can start shading, and I can start rendering, and I can start doing whatever I want. But this initial color that I picked right here might be completely off. That's the problem with not using reference, right? Because if I now go for a red apple, and I grab, let's say, one of the most traditional ones, like this one right here, right? Look at the difference. That's the base color of a red apple. This is what I picked. So not only did I went way too saturated, because I'm very, very saturated on this one. Actually, this one's more saturated, but I went too light on my initial estimation of what I thought was the apple red, right? Or the red apple. So that's a problem, especially when you're trying to do something that already exists. Always look for reference. When you're trying to create something new and original, that's when you can leave reference a little bit to the side. Use it to influence the kind of stuff that you're doing, but don't completely depend on it, because then it's just going to be like a rehash, right? And we also don't want that. Is doing busts a good practice? Yes, it's a really good practice. Any tips on how many polys a circular loop should have in Retopo so it doesn't look too polygonal? I personally like using multiples of 4, and you can start with something like 12. 12 is a good number for really round elements. But here, I'll show you something. I really like using this example. To my portfolio real quick. And which one should we do? Yeah, let's do this one. So this character right here, she's got a bunch of ropes all the way around here on her waist, right? On the scrolls, on this one. It's definitely low poly. This is really, really low poly, because my idea or my attempt on this was getting it close to like League of Legends style. And if I were to ask you how many divisions do we have on these ropes, what would be your answer? Let's take some guess. How many divisions do we have on those ropes right there, guys? Let's see who gets it right. Oscar says 8. Sekiro says 4. Solid Mango says 8. Theo Top says 6. 20. 4. 6. It's 4. This is a cube. It's actually a cube. As you can see right there, it's literally just a cube. 1, 2, 3, and then 4 on the other side. And I believe on some of them, I even did 3. It was like a triangular thing. I think on the legs or somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but the reason why this works on this particular character with just 4 sides is because, first of all, compared to the rest of the character, right, those like elements are very thin. So we can afford to have way, way less divisions. And second, because of the hand-painted approach, you don't see the shading, right? It's a flat shading, so we can fake that with shadows and highlights and everything and make it seem like it has way more divisions than it actually has. However, you can use, again, a little bit more. So if I needed a little bit more resolution because I don't want things to look super, super low poly, 8 is a good number. And then we can go a little bit higher, 12, 20, 24. Like, it really depends. The bigger the object, the more divisions you usually want to have, because it's going to give you a nicer silhouette. Let's see. Will it still apply this red on animation? What red? Press? Yeah, no, this one was even animated. Oh man, I don't know where I have it. I think I had an animation here. Let's open. What did I got? I got 2 little thingies here. Hey, when that happens. Oh, art station. I got like 2 dings and I was like, where are those dings coming from? Here. Oh man, no, I don't have the animation for that girl. I did it. I had one, but I don't know where it is. I might have deleted it. Not the animation, but the file where I had it. But I had an animation like Lord Tellum, who's a follower here. He might be on the chat still. He did the rig for this character, and we did a very simple sort of like idle animation for the character. So yeah, even at that resolution, you can still animate. Let's see. What pose is better in your opinion, A pose or T pose? I prefer A pose because it's more relaxed. Muscles don't get as much intensity, especially on the shoulder and chest area. So I personally prefer A pose. However, there are some people that prefer T pose. It depends on the character. Like if I'm doing Mario or Yoshi, right? Then T pose is definitely better. It's going to be a lot more manageable. It's a lot easier to... Yeah, I told you. Arrgh, I hate it. So this is an issue that happens with the freaking tablet here and painting softwares, where for whatever reason, when I jump into Photoshop, it uses like WinTab or WinInk or whatever, and then when I come back here, it wants to use that and it does like the reverse. If anyone knows a fix to that, I would love it, because right now the only fix that I've found is to just reset the driver, which sucks. How many do you use for those rings? What rings? This one's right here? That's a good question. Let's take a look. I think like 8 or 12. So as you can see, this is also a 4-sided like ring. It only has 4 sides, right? And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I actually used 10 for this one to minimize. Like the whole character right here, even counting a little bit of the ground and the VFX, the whole character right here is only at 17,000 triangles. And as you can see, she's got like a bunch of props, which is very similar to what we did with the pirate. This is from the hand-painted course that I have on my site. And this one right here follows a very, very similar process. So everything was very, very low poly. You can see some rings, for instance. Yeah, there you go, like the ropes. In these ropes, because they were a little bit thicker, I did give them 6 sides, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there you go. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then other 3 on the other side, so 6 sides. But that's because, again, they're a little bit thicker. On some of the other ones, I definitely reduced the amount a little bit more. And I believe we had a little bit, he didn't have as many props or accessories as the other girl, so that's why I went a little bit lower. But yeah, that's the beauty of like hand painted stuff, right? Like that you can bake all of that information, the color on the information of the character, and there you go. To Height dice, increíble tu trabajo, bro. Muchas gracias, mi estimado. Muchas gracias. Son tan solo 15 años de estar haciendo esto y disfrutándolo. Pero gracias, gracias. Most recent Huion drivers do not work for most of my programs. I had contact. Yeah, I'm using an old driver from Huion, like 2 years, like one from 2 years ago. I might even go like even further back. It's not ideal. I don't know why they can get that right. Let's see. How would you go about rigging that low poly girl character with all those props attached? You just rig it, man. I have it. I think I have it. You guys want to see the rig? I'll show you the rig. Ugh. Oh, thank you, the height. Thank you very much. Using more dividing and rest will consume more RAM, just like Blender Subdivision. Yeah, that's right. You have any advice for someone who is just starting out? I would like to make characters and monsters. Start. Fail miserably. A lot. Learn and improve. The best thing I can tell you, and this applies to anything in life, guys. I know I'm not like a philosopher or whatever, but if you want to improve in any skill that you can think of, the best way to improve in a skill is, of course, doing your research, figuring out a good process to learn that particular skill, but trying and failing. Don't be afraid to fail. I saw a quote several years ago about Roger Federer, you know, this tennis player, right? And they did a study, and they realized that he had on average, like the points, you know, like in tennis, either one side gets the point or the other side gets the point. He did have a positive like point amount, like he got more points than he conceded, but it was not by that much. I think, again, don't quote me on this, but if I'm not mistaken, he was like 55-45. So 55% of the times he would win the point, and 45% of the times he would lose the point. That's not a lot. Like 5% might not seem, or it might seem like it's little, but that makes a huge difference because of the amount of times or the amount of points that he played, right? So on the long run, he definitely wins more because he plays more, because he tries more, because he learns more, right? That's the sort of like secret to this whole thing. There you go. Yeah, I even have the animation here. Let me show it to you guys. So, Lord Tellum, if you're here, show yourself. Because I did not do this rig. This rig was done by our good friend, Lord Tellum. No, it's opening another. And he did the rig. And he rigged the whole thing. Thing is, I don't know where the texture is. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think I'm going to be able to find the texture. I need to look at my files. Is it important to be a good 2D artist or dibujante in order to texture things? If you want to be a hand-painted texture artist, then you do need to know about like traditional stuff like color theory, light, values, proportions, that kind of stuff. That's what we cover on the course, right? But technically, no. Like you don't necessarily need to be that. Let me find the texture. Where is the texture? I hate when I do this and I change things around and I don't know where to find them. I should have them. Assets. On the desktop? Give me 1 second, guys. I'm pretty sure I can find the texture. I saw them. I saw them not too long ago. I promise. Could it be cooler? The cooler. Oh man, this is what I get for not keeping my stuff clean. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at somewhere else. Give me 1 second. Pretty sure I can find it. So otherwise, backup. I made a bit about visual memory. Kim Jong-gi, remember 3016 filled the gaps with his intuition. Downloads? No. Software? No. Here. They did like a backup. I'm pretty sure he did like a backup at some point. Here, there you go. Backup. There we go. Oh man. Have it. No, I'm gonna owe that one to you guys. I don't have the file here right now. I can't find it. Need to look it up. But here, let me show you. Let's turn this. There you go. So as you can see here, the props were rigged with simple joints. So for instance, this one moves one of the scrolls. This one moves the other scroll. We can move the rings from its pivot point right there. If we want to sort of like move them around or have them like dance around. We have this one right here as well to like move them around. Oh, he did a great job on this like thing where we can have like a very cool. Oh, where is it? Where was it? Oh, there was a controller that he added on this thing. Now I can find it, but he did a really good one here where we can like open up and close the barrel. He even did like a facial rig, even though it's like again, she's got like a very low poly face. You can still do like a facial rigging and for instance, move the eyes, move the little like eyelids right there. Wish we had texture so I could really we could really see all of this with actual proper textures, right? But yeah, this is the rig that Lord Tellum did for this character. So even though it's very low poly and very like optimized, you can still get some really cool things here. What? BT, come on. There you go. So yeah, this is the again the character here. He did a great job with this one. What's this? Oh yeah, it's the pull vector for the arm. I'm applying to Gnomon soon. Do you have any advice for while I'm in the program? Yes, I have an advice. So as you guys know, I went to Gnomon back in 2013. I was there from 2013 to 2016. So first of all, my friend, if you are going to Gnomon and you can afford it because it's an expensive school, I'm not gonna deny that. No one's gonna hide that fact. Please make good use of it, man. Please, you have an opportunity that a lot of people would dream of having. And either if you're paying it yourself or your parents or someone is supporting you, please do not waste your time there. Do all of the homework. Stay there all day if possible. Talk to people who are above you on the terms, right? Like who are a little bit further along on their job. Make connections with the teachers. Make connections with the peers. Like go to the events, go to the activities, ask questions, participate in everything. Like this is probably one of the most important moments for you to build your network. You will learn skills. And especially if you already have some skills, like if you can get again like a head start on some of the skills, like if you can already learn about Maya and Zbrush and Photoshop, that's gonna make it even better because teachers are gonna be able to help you from where you are and more, right? So they're gonna take whatever level you arrive with and they're gonna sort of like make it better. So the more you can learn about some of the softwares, the better that's going to be for you going in. But yes, please make good use of the time there. Unfortunately, I've mentioned this before. I had some peers who went there and they did not do the homeworks. They did not do the projects. They did not participate. They would just like mess around and fool around. And it was just like, dude, why are you spending so much money if you're not gonna be like making good use of it, right? So So yeah, please, if you're gonna go to Noman, it will be it's your duty. I would say it's your duty to make the best out of that situation, because not everyone can afford something like that. What would more network? I would have done more network. I mean, I did my fair amount, but I feel like I was very shy back then, and I didn't do as much as I wanted. So I would definitely focus a little bit more on networking. Like, I remember I was invited to some events, like mixers and things like that, and I would be very shy. It was like, oh, no, I'm not that kind of person. I don't like that kind of stuff. No, go. Force yourself to go, because you never know who you're going to be meeting or how things are going to change, right? So I, like, if I could go back and do something different, I would have networked a little bit more. That would have been my change. And don't sleep on the fundamentals will be another one. So I went to the 3-year program. Back then they had like a 3-year program. I'm not sure how things are nowadays, but back then there was like a 3-year program. And on that first year of the 3-year program, we did a lot of like traditional stuff. So we did like sculpture, we did color theory, we did design, art history, again, a little bit of everything. And I was a little bit too mean, not necessarily to the teachers, right? Like, I was always a very well-educated student, but I mean, I would be a little bit dismissive of those topics. I was like, I don't care too much about this. I just want to get into Zbrush. I just want to get into Maya. I just want to do 3D and pet texturing or whatever. So I did not put as much effort as I should have on those fundamentals. And now, again, 15 years later, I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, I should have done that. I should have paid a little bit more attention there. Not necessarily because it impacted my education like in a very meaningful way, but as an artist, now I'm focusing on that. Now I'm learning how to draw properly. Now I'm learning more about color theory and how to apply it to my pieces. So if I had done that work back then I would have saved myself the time from doing it right now, and I could be focusing on other things. Does that make sense? Hi, I'm a 16-year-old 3D artist and wanted to ask if it's realistic to get a job in that section. Check the video that I uploaded yesterday, my friend, to the channel. It's going to give you a good insight on how things are right now. But just to answer your question, yes, it is possible, but the way that studios are working nowadays are very different, or is very different to the way we were used to studios working. So if you're okay with the way studios are working now, then it's perfectly fine to still pursue this career. But if after you watch the video and you're like, yeah, no, that's not what I want for myself, you're perfectly fine in choosing a slightly different direction. That doesn't mean, again, that games are going to disappear. It doesn't mean that their industry is dying. No, it's like, I'm not a fatalist with these things. I just understand that things are changing, and some people might not like those specific changes, if that makes sense. Gracias. Do you have a course for modeling inorganic shapes in Zbrush? I really want to model an EVA unit, but no, I don't. It's one of the courses that I do want to do. Like, we do have, on the Oni course, we do a little bit of hard surface stuff. You might want to like check that out if you haven't. But no, I don't specifically have one for hard surface yet. It's on the to-do list. So on one of the courses that we definitely want to do, like hard surface for Zbrush. Do we have any sales for tutorials? No, I don't have sales, and the reason why I don't have sales is because I feel like my courses are very fairly priced. You can ask anyone here in the chat who has taken the courses whether or not the value that I offer there is good enough, and hopefully they're going to be the first to tell you that, yeah, that the value is really good. I've seen courses that are being sold at like ridiculous amounts, and the information that you get is like not that great. So yeah. I don't like sales. We do giveaways every now and then. We do have promotions very rarely, but no, it's not something that we do. Omnus says, to everyone who can't afford university, please don't get discouraged. It is very possible to work in the industry without it. I'm doing it myself. Yes, that's right, Omnu. And I totally agree. Like, university is just one of the paths, right? I went to Noman. I did take that particular path, but I have a bunch of my peers who didn't, who are self-taught artists, and they learn everything by themselves. So it is perfectly possible. There's, of course, challenges with that, and there's advantages. One of the advantages is, well, you're going to be saving a lot of money. So if you can't afford to go to university and you are very good at being a self-taught artist, then that's a good like path to follow. But of course, it's going to have its own set of challenges. If you do go to college, well, you probably will accrue a little bit of debt. Please don't do something that's going to financially ruin you. Like, if you really can't afford it, I would strongly recommend you not to do it, because with how the industry is right now, you could be carrying that debt for a long time, and that will be like the last thing anyone wants, right? So yeah. Do you have any tips for tubes, cables in Zbrush? Doing an atom smasher from you can use the curve tools. I did a video about curve tools not too long ago, I think. Just look for curve tools. That's how you do tubes inside of Zbrush easily. Okay, I like it. I like the thing right there. Definitely want to add like you know more thingies and elements. That's something that we can kit bash. I'm gonna show you here. I'm gonna show you another technique. So masking is really good for this kind of like hard surface things. So for instance, if I want to add like something here, I'm just gonna mask, clean the mask as much as I can, like that, and then just like extrude that little guy right there, right? And that's gonna give me like a sharper, cleaner result for the whole thing. So masks are really good for this like stage of the like ideation process. Like I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing. I'm just adding like interesting looking shapes around the character. And masking can be very, very helpful. I don't want to make it too noisy though. Sort of want to have a little bit of thought behind it, so to speak. Like for instance, I already know that these guys are going to be cylinders eventually, right? Well, I just want to block them in such a way that we have a nicer result. Let's see. Do you do mentorships? I love your videos, by the way. I'll learn more. Yes, I do. If you want to know a little bit more about them, you can send me a message on Discord, just like a DM, and be like, hey, man, I would like to know more about the mentorships, and I should send you the information. It's 1 hour sessions. We would work with 1 hour sessions. I do have a few spots available right now. Sometimes I get like a little bit too busy and I can't have as many mentorships. But yeah, if you want a little bit more information, just send me a DM. I have students from all over the world. I have students in Australia, Kazakhstan, Argentina, Mexico, of course, the US, Canada. I had a couple of students earlier this year from Germany. Can I post my portfolio here or Discord for review? I do really need your advice. You can do that for portfolio review, my friend. Not right now. Like I'm not going to do portfolio reviews today. Remember, we do that at the end of the month. Aliko says, I collect apes tutorials like Pokemon cards. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Gonna be like a nice respirator thing or whatever. I'm not entirely in love with the shoulder pads though. They look a little bit wonky, so I'm just gonna delete them. I got the select last, so I'm probably gonna add them as a different subtool. No, but then that looks way too gears. It's already looking a little bit too gears, to be honest. What can we do to make this non-gear? More spiky, maybe? How did you afford Nomen? Well, first of all, it was not as expensive as it is today when I went there, right? Like this was, again, back in 2013. I did got a lot of help from my parents. Like I can't deny that privilege. My parents were very accommodating. There were a bunch of factors that really made it a lot easier for me to pursue that. For instance, I had an aunt. She recently passed away, and she lived really close to Nomen, like really close. Like I lived with her when I was going to Nomen, and I would literally walk 5 minutes down the road to the bus stop, and the bus would leave me literally at Nomen's like a doorstep, right? So that was really cool because she was super nice, and she gave me a nice place to stay at, and the rent was really affordable. So there were, again, like a bunch of factors that helped me with that experience that I was able to utilize, right? To live. I did work for a year previous to that with my dad at our family's like business, and we were very lucky that we got a big client back then, and that helped us pay for that. He saved quite a bit for my university studies when I was growing up. I was on a scholarship when I was in high school, and yeah, again, there were a bunch of factors. Like I don't want to say, oh, it was all my effort and I deserved it. No, of course not. Like I was very privileged to be able to have that opportunity. But that's one of the reasons why I'm sharing this kind of stuff here with you guys, because I understand that not everyone might be able to live that specifically, and I do find it a little bit, you know, unfair. And if I can share a little bit of that information with you guys here and help you in your journey, I'm happy to do so. Perhaps the cylinders, yeah, right. Like it's the cylinders that are giving it the gears vibe. Let's get rid of them. Someone asked me about this. Do you approach armor sculpting modeling always like this? No, not always. Like for this sort of like organic sci-fi-ish armors, I do like using this approach. But if I was doing something a little bit more medieval, I would probably just like poly model it. Like I might do initial blocking like this, and then I will like a poly model it a little bit more. Okay, so what I'm gonna do instead is this. Let's go mask lasso. I'm gonna mask this thing right here. We go. And then what I'm gonna do, this is why I'm telling you guys, masks are really freaking good, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here to the top and I'm just gonna push this out. See that right there? So now we have like a plate, a really interesting like plate here on the front. That looks more interesting, right? A little bit more unique. Masks, guys, I'm telling you, masks are the secret. This sort of like blocking stage. Now it feels Halo-ish, right? Yeah, there you go. And that's what I kind of like want to go for. So I'm gonna take that as a good direction. What games did you play the most on your youth? That's a good question. I was a huge World of Warcraft player. I played quite a bit during the Mists of Pandaria and the Lich King. I know they're two different. So I played Lich King a lot, and then I stopped playing. And then I played Pandaria a lot as well. I played Halo, of course. Gears of War. I'm a huge Nintendo fan as well, so I played quite a bit of Nintendo too. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, there you go. That looks a little bit more interesting. Let's do something with this one right here. So for instance, I'm going to do very similar approach. I'm just going to mask a piece or a piece right there. And then I'm going to like push it out a little bit right there. Tips on how to get better with composition. Study composition. I know it sounds very obvious, but yeah, like look at your favorite films that have won like cinematography and stuff like that, and analyze them. Why are certain shots so good? Why are certain frames so interesting? Why are certain results so appealing? Right? If you study that kind of stuff, you're gonna be able to, or you should be able to extrapolate some of that information. There's also a great book by the guys that did the color one that I've shared. It's called Artists Master Series, and it's called Composition and Narrative. It's this one right here. You might want to check that one out. That one's gonna teach you quite a bit about composition. Framing, that's another one. That's another great book. Framing. It's this one right here. So this one talks quite a bit about like comic styles and storyboarding, which again, really good. So this is another great resource. Framing. Are the castle walls behind you displacement or normal map? That is displacement map. They're actually displaced. So I did sculpt them. I sculpt those in real life. They're made out of this foamular, this like pink foam that you can get like in Home Depot. Yeah, I did those last year, I believe. Okay. Yeah, this is looking nice. I guess, do you like artists? Yes, I do. I do like those books. This guy's we're gonna make this guys a little bit more organic. Finally need Dynamesh here. Not sure if I want organic or a little bit harder. Yeah, that looks interesting. They're definitely asymmetrical, but I want to have a little bit of a similar like 5. Let's see. Nathan Folks made another book, just environment design. Nice, nice. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Let's see. Professor, I used the 16 for a ring similar to the one you showed, and I'm afraid it looks too polygonal. It will look polygonal. Like that's the downside of optimizing things, right? Like if you don't want to optimize things, if you don't care about poly count that much, which a lot of AAA games now don't because it's no longer that big of a bottleneck, then you can definitely push it a little bit further. So if you want to have like a nice clean like cylindrical shape, you can definitely go 32 sides or I don't know 40 sides if you need to. I've done that, and again, it's perfectly fine for certain types of productions. Like for again League of Legends, World of Warcraft, that's not gonna fly. But if you're doing again like a AAA game like what's the word, like Gears of War or God of War or things like that, then sure, you might need to push the polygonal count quite high. Don't be scared of pushing poly count high, guys. I know usually we're told, oh, you need to optimize everything and everything needs to be sort of like very low poly. And yes, that's a good advice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way it should always be. Okay, sometimes there's going to be different like situations for the projects. Like you're not going to do that for like a dragon for Game of Thrones, right? Like that's not how it works. So don't constrain yourself. I think it's the proper word. Don't constrain yourself with something if the project doesn't require it. Could you do a tutorial on mixing tiling textures and trim sheets? A continuation of the 3-part tutorial on trim sheets. That's a good idea. Yeah, next week I want to do a tutorial about material layering inside of Unreal, because we did one and I show you how it works inside of like Substance Painter, how to do the material blending there. However, I didn't show you how to properly connect that inside of Unreal, and I feel like that could be quite helpful. So next week's probably gonna be that. And then we can do a little bit more environment stuff, I think. Okay, here I'm gonna add a cushion thingy. There we go. Giving support, so like sealing the character inside the suit. Do you have a character retopo bid or course available? Yes, I do. So all of the courses, as you guys know, are on my site, leal3d.com. And here, the one you're asking for is this one right here, Complete Guide to Retopology. So in this one, we cover all of the necessary things that you need to know about retopology. All of the files are included, so you can just like follow along. And we cover like proper animation topology for characters. We cover creature topology, cloth topology. We even do a little bit of UVs and bakes for the characters to check that their topology is working like properly. So all of this is here. It is done with Topogon. We use Topogon for the course. However, the principles of topology can be applied to any like retopology software. So if you're in Blender, you can use RetopFlow. If you're in Maya, you can just Quad Draw. If you're in Zbrush, you can use some of the new retopology tools as well, because the principles of retopology are the same. Did you finish the gnome? No, I haven't finished the gnome. I haven't done the retopology. I've been very lazy with that one. I need to do the retopology for the gnome, and I just haven't felt like it. Unfortunately. I do want to finish it. It was looking quite nice, right? We'll finish it. We'll finish it. We'll finish it soon. Let's see. How did you learn Unreal? Did you have prior game? No, I actually did not have any engine experience. So Unreal was a very interesting experience for me. The way I learned it, I was already back here in Mexico, and my now business partner came to me and he was like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do a VR experience for museums. He was the one that got the idea. And I was like, well, you probably want to use Unreal for that because it's got some like cool tools for VR stuff. And he was like, yeah, I know, but I'm not a 3D artist. I'm not a programmer. I'm a business guy, because he is the business guy on our little business partnership. And he was like, can you do it? It's like, oh, well, I've never programmed before. He was like, can you learn? It's like, sure. let's try. And I had to learn. Like, I wouldn't call myself an Unreal Engine expert, right? But I know my way around it, and I know like the basics of the system, and that's how we built the VR experiences. So yeah, I literally taught myself. Like, they have amazing tutorials on the main side, like on the main page of Unreal. So if you just go to the YouTube page, they have really cool things, to be honest. Like, that's how I started learning from. And then they have some really cool documentation. Sometimes it's outdated. Like, that's maybe one of my pet peeves with Unreal, that I feel like they update the engine too fast, and they what's the word? They don't keep up with the updates on the documentation. But there's a lot of community resources as well. So that's a way you can like start learning. No. I finished Gnomon School of Visual Effects. I finished. My title is up there behind that little barrel. He's asking about the gnome. We were doing a gnome a couple of weeks ago. I can show it to you here. We were doing this gnome right here, right? And I haven't finished this gnome. This is the gnome that I have not finished. So the character is pretty much ready. He's ready for the retopology stage. I just haven't had time to do the whole retopology thing. So this is the one that I haven't finished. Hopefully that clarifies. Do we have to make the visual effects like magic in 3D, or we can add them in Photoshop for the challenge? You can add them in Photoshop for the challenge. Just make sure that it's like properly integrated, right? Like, it should look nice. Don't make it look ugly. I'll do something here with this guy. With a little bit more armor right there. That's a great question, Aryan. That's a great question. So, Aryan is asking, how do you estimate freelance timelines without over or under promising? Ask for more time professionally when needed and avoid having to request extensions repeatedly while delivering the best quality. That's such a good question. And I'm glad you're thinking about like the freelance side of things, because our stuff is probably going to be going a little bit more that way in the next couple of years. Like, we're going to be more geek-based rather than like studio-based. So, you should have a good idea of your skills and capabilities, right? So, for instance, if someone tells me, "Hey, I need you to make an alien character with armor," blah blah blah, it's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna think. My brain's immediately gonna give me a specific estimate, right? And for instance, I'm just gonna give you an example. My brain's gonna think, "Oh, that's gonna take me 3 weeks." You don't say 3 weeks. Never ever say the first number or the first like time frame that you get on your brain, because believe me, it's never gonna be that. So I say, "Hey, I'm not entirely sure. It should take me a good amount of time. Give me a couple of like hours to give you an estimate," right? And then you go and actually think for yourself. And what I do is the following. I take the initial time that my brain told me, and I always add at least like 50 or 70% the same amount of that time. So if I thought about 3 weeks, I'm gonna be like, let's say 5 weeks. I'm gonna say 5 weeks because I'm giving me almost double the time, right? Why? Because those 2 weeks should be your cushion, your time cushion for any eventuality that could happen. Like, for instance, Mango told us, "Hey, there was a blackout in my city, 3 or 4 days without light." That's outside of your control, right? But the client doesn't care. The client wants their stuff. They want their results. So you gotta give yourself that extra time in case some of those eventualities happen. I've had situations where my power source on my computer just like blew, like it completely exploded, right? And I had to get a new one. It took me like a couple of days to get like the exact one that I needed for all the components. So there are situations where that's gonna happen. That's why you always give yourself that extra time. Same for money. Like, if you think, "Oh, I'm gonna charge this person," whatever, I'm just gonna say a random number, $1,000. You don't charge $1,000 because you don't know how many other expenses you might have in terms of a license, in terms of like, I don't know, brushes that you need to buy, something that happens, savings, like whatever. Like there's a bunch of other factors involved, and you don't want to just like throw the first number out. So I always think about the number and I start adding a couple of extra percentages and give myself a little bit more. So maybe it's not gonna be $1,000, it's gonna be, I don't know, $1,600, right? So it's gonna be a little bit more. Probably not double the amount, but a little bit more, so that they always have, again, a cushion in case, for instance, Let's imagine, again, something happens and I'm falling behind. You mentioned this on your comment. I'm falling behind and I know I need someone to help me with retopology. Well, I'll hire someone for just a day. Is like, hey man, I'm gonna pay you $200 for a day, but help me retopologize as much as you can because I'm running out of time. That's where you use that extra cushion of money to outsource a little bit of the process and help you with something that you might need, which has happened to me before. I've hired people and it's like, hey man, I need you to help me with this specific models because I'm like my plate is full, right? And you use that money as part of the negotiation, right? You don't necessarily tell your client you're responsible of the quality at the end of the day, but you can definitely do that. Studios do this all the time. They'll outsource a specific parts of the process, and they'll use the budget that they were assigned to fulfill or complete some parts of the elements, right? So that will be the first one. Now, even if you do that, even if you give yourself good time, even if you have a good budget, there will be eventualities where maybe there's something that you can't really accomplish. Like you as they say, you bit more than you could chew, right? You grab more that you could really manage. In that case, the best thing that you can do is be very honest with the client, right? Be like, hey man, I don't think I'm going to be able to complete this in the time frame that I told you. I understand that. And that's where you take hits, right? For instance, I've had situations like that with some clients and like, I'm not going to be able to finish it. Here's a couple of options. I could either bring someone else and help me with this. I can give you all of the files and recommend you to someone else who's going to be able to finish this like particular situation, right? And of course, I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to like ask for the money or anything. I'll ask for whatever I did maybe, but if I'm already failing as a provider, well, I need to make up for it to my client, right? I need to be on his good side and find a solution. I guess that's one of the most important parts here, Aryan. You need to be a solution finder. So you need to give them something or to be on a situation where they feel support, like you're not leaving them alone, but you're being very honest that this is just not going to be able to be finished or completed by you, right? It sucks. No one wants to be in that position, but it does. Like I've had the situation happen as well in other things in my life, and I really appreciate it when someone is very honest. Is like, hey, I know I promised that we were going to do this. I'm not going to be able to do it. What can we do? How can I make it better for you? Like I'm going to try to make this the least painful for both of us, right? And that tends to be a good result. And you usually don't want to get into that situation. And that will be my last advice in this topic, which is if you don't feel confident that you can complete whatever it is they're asking at a really good, successful level, don't take the job. What are you doing? I know you want the money. Everyone wants money, right? But that's how scammers are born, right? Like someone comes to you and they're like, yeah, I can do it. And then they can't do it. Well, they're just lying. So be honest. It's like, hey man, like I can't do that for you. I've had that situation happen very frequently. People will reach out to me. It's like, hey man, I saw your work online. I really like what you're doing. I'm building a game where I'm building this. I need you to make a model of my main character. Like, sure. This is my quote. It's like, oh no, you know what? Like I only have this much budget, and it's a very, very small budget, which is perfectly understandable. It's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to help you because if I do this, I'm not gonna be able to pay for my bills and continue doing the stuff that I need to do, right? So you figure out the way. That's where you, for instance, recommend them to someone else. And I've had that situation happen on the opposite side of things. Like I've had people reach out to me. It's like, hey man, I need you to do like some really complex BFX shots for a commercial that we're doing. It's like, no man, I'm not a BFX artist. And you might ask, well, you could learn BFX and do the job. Yeah, but I'm not going to be able to do it at the same quality that someone who has been studying BFX could, right? So it's dishonest from me to say that I can do something when I really can't. So just be faithful there. Let's see. I really like your art, Dave. I'm Mexican and I like to live from this as a freelancer. How much English do you think I need? I'm like V1 or more or less. I have been learning it since 2023. That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure what my English level is. I mean, I did take the TOEFL several years ago and I passed it. You do need to have good English. It's one of those other skills, like especially if you're not from the US or from an English-speaking country, one of the best investments you can do is to learn English. Like definitely learn English, because there's a lot of work that you could be doing if you know English. So I'm not entirely sure what the level should be, because I'm not aware of or not familiar with the current evaluations of the English system. But that would tell you definitely learn English. Like if you're able to communicate the way I'm doing right now, you're gonna be perfectly fine. Do you remember the orc mentorship? The rings I'm talking about are from that project. Oh man, I've had several orc mentorships, unfortunately. The rings on the orc project. I would just do it one more, give it one more subdivision, man. Like you mentioned you were doing 16, right? Like go 24, go 32. Like I think you should be fine. If it's the orc that I think it is, I think you should be fine, and it's not gonna kill the project. So yeah. Okay, let's see. Been sculpting rocks and setting up UVs for them, but in some models I notice when I put a triplanar material on them, some tiny areas on the mesh, the texture still gets stretched. What can cause that? It's just bad UVs, man. I know it hurts to hear that, but it's just bad UVs. I did some rocks with a student this week. Let me show them to you. No, I have not worked for Riot Games. I would love to. If anyone knows anyone inside of Riot that would like an artist, I would love to work for them. That's one of the companies that I would definitely enjoy working for. Wait, did I not have... Project select. I'll show you, because I have this more material here. Rock. So we're working on this rock. And these are the UVs, right? So I know they look very weird, very wrong. But for this kind of asset, these are perfectly fine. It's just a rock. And when we bake, you're going to see that the bake is going to work perfectly fine. So here. There you go. So boom, that's the bakes for the rock, right? And then here's where the magic of materials happens. Because if we just do a couple of like little magic, this is the kind of stuff that we cover on the substance course. We can get this model that looks, you know, a little bit weird into boom, this model that's gonna look a lot more intense as soon as the freaking textures load, of course. Can you make Aang from Avatar? I mean, I could. There we go. Right? Quite the difference. So textures are really important for what's the word? For any environment stuff and any model, to be honest. Like you can have some amazing looking sculpts, but then if you mess it up on the textures, then well, you're lost. In this particular case, as you can see right here, we can get a very nice result, even though the model was relatively simple, right? And it's a single 4K texture, and we can reuse this like stones all the way around. So these are like yeah, it's really good. I actually did a small render here. Do I have it? I don't have it here. Did I delete it? Oh man, should stop doing that. Should stop deleting things when I do them. But yeah, so it's the UVs. So it's probably something to do with the UVs. Like you need to make sure that you check your UVs and you don't have any sort of like small islands, that you have enough cuts. As you can see here, I have a bunch of cuts. Like some people might think that these are way too many cuts, but for an asset like this, it's perfectly fine because most of the textures that we're seeing right here are triplanar textures, right? So you're never gonna see the point where certain thing is sort of like overlapping. So yeah, it's the UVs. Like just add more cuts. Don't be afraid of adding cuts, and that's gonna make your textures and your bakes look better. How did you change the UI color from default orange to blue? That's a very simple one. So if you go here to preferences and you go to, well, first of all, you can access or you can download this UI if you want. It's on our files. So where did I leave those? Not there. So if you go to the Google Drive folder, there you go. On the Google Drive folder that I showed you earlier today, we have this one right here. It's the interface. So if you want to download the interface, it's going to have the blue color, but you change it here. Preferences. And then eye colors. There you go. Eye colors. You just click on this thing. For instance, this is switch 1, switch 2. This is knob color. And you could just like drag this and select like a different color. So for instance, you want, I don't know, like yellow. Just do that and then like this, right? And that's it. So those are the 4 that you want to change. Switch 1, switch 2, knob 1, and knob 2. If you want, you can change everything else, but I feel like that's not necessarily. And I like the blue one. Well, now I lost it, but I can just go here to preferences, and then I can go to interface. Now, where is it? Config. There we go. And I'm just gonna restore custom UI. There you go. Back to my blue color. That's it. And I mean, it is just visuals, right? But if you don't like the orange, that's a good way to do it. That makes sense. It's better to be, yeah. Have you seen the claymation in ZBrush stuff? Oh yeah, that was a really, really interesting approach to ZBrush. Yeah, I saw it. It's quite time consuming. Not gonna deny that, but it's really good. Again, this thing failing. Again, I had to try with some older like drivers, because very obnoxious. It's when if I stay in ZBrush, I don't get that issue. But if I go to Krita or somewhere else, and then I start working on the with a different like tap thing or whatever, it just like messes up. You don't get the issues? Yeah, or just Sekiro, just tell me which drivers. Like, can you check real quick which drivers they are? Like, what's the version of the driver that you're using? Just tell me, and I'll download it. I can show you guys where to download it as well, because it's a very common issue. I hate it. The company should be on top of that stuff. Dude, I have 0 talent. Any tips to make characters? You need to study the skills, man. You need to work on those talents. Here's the thing. I also consider myself to have 0 talent, and that might seem weird, right? Like, we tend to be very harsh on ourselves. No one is born knowing this kind of stuff. Yes, there are certain things that you're going to be, let's say, naturally a little bit better at, or a little bit more, I don't know how to specifically say it. You might have a little bit of a proficiency for, right? But it's a lot about like learning the tools, learning and practicing. Practice and hard work beats talent, like 99% of the times. How many like really talented people have we seen go to waste because they don't work on their skills, right? So you might have a natural talent for sculpting or drawing or whatever, but if you don't practice, if you don't work on it, then you're gonna lose it. It's gonna go to waste. No, that's the firmware, Sekiro. Try checking the software. So if you're on your computer and you go to Huion tablet, you should go here to the little thingy, and then you go about, and this one right here. In the Huion tablet version number, I'm using 15.7.6.1858. And that's the one that's currently giving me some issues. I might need to update my firmware, though. Haven't done that in a while. Thoughts on Unreal Engine 6? I'm really not liking the fact that they're removing blueprints, because I really enjoy working with blueprints. Someone asked that question and forgot to answer. So I personally like working with blueprints. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel having to learn how to code again. I'm guessing now with AI, it might be a little bit simpler. But still, I really like how like blueprints worked. I'm going to miss those. 20.0. Yeah, see, that's the one that I was using, and I got some errors. So I'm gonna have to see if now they fixed it. But yeah, thank you, Sekiro. I'll take a look after the stream and see if that solves my issues, because quite annoying, especially when I need to explain something in another software, and then I need to come back. It's just annoying. Still not in love with the shoulder pads. I love everything else so far. Let's just remove it. Sometimes this is another advice, guys. Sometimes when something's not working, don't be afraid to just destroy it. For instance, there I just destroyed it, and boom. Now I don't have that like distraction. I can focus on the element a little bit better, and then I can figure out what the hell I want to do with the shoulder pads, right? We tend to be very adamant on letting go of certain things. Just let go. Just let go, and let's see what happens. Are you a programmer, and what program is that? I'm not a programmer. I'm a 3D artist, and this program is Zbrush. Zbrush is a digital sculpting software. It's used all the way around in the industry. It's one of if not the biggest like sculpting software. I mean, this is the biggest sculpting software, but it's just a beast, man. Such a good software. Love it. How can I get into game dev as a 3D character artist? Thank you in advance for your answer. What do you mean game dev? Because that's the thing, right? Like, game dev is such a broad topic or a broad thing. game dev to me, like if you're a character artist, to me you're already in game dev. You're on the character side of things for game dev, but you're already a game dev. Like if you want to program, like if you want to do game design and you want to create your own games and learn that, then I would say Unreal is probably the best or easiest way to get into it, just because of how accessible it can be to just like use blueprints to start programming certain things. It is a different beast though. Like I've done it a little bit, right, for the VR stuff, but it's very simple stuff that we do. Like we don't do any sort of like fancy like programming or anything. It's fun, but it's definitely another skill set, and I might not be the best one to tell you about that because, well, that's not my main point. I know people recommend like try programming simple games, right? Like try programming an endless runner, try programming a very simple shooter game, right? And you learn about how health bars work and how ray casting works, and you learn how hierarchies work and things like that, death states, animation states. So again, it's like I would follow the advice that I normally give with projects, which is pick a project. Like for instance, in one of the schools that I teach, they give the students a very cool project in their like third or fourth term where they need to recreate a very famous like 80s arcade game, but in VR, right? Like they need to figure out a way to do, like, let's say Space Invaders, right? But do it in VR, or try to do Pac-Man but in VR, right? And it's a fun one. It's a fun activity because the programming things that you might need to do for those particular games are relatively simple, right? Like the mechanics of the games are relatively simple, but adapting them to a more modern approach is really interesting. So yeah, that's that would be probably one of my advices. Kind of like that one a little bit more. Maybe they're a little bit too high up, though. Did you have any specific art background, like sketching or painting, before coming to industry? I mean, I've always been creative, so I've always doing like arts and crafts, right? I did not have any sort of like formal training before, just very basic like drawing and painting classes, stuff like that. But for instance, I've always painted miniatures for D&D and for war games. I've always read books, so I've always been very sort of like imaginative. I like picturing like the worlds and stories and everything. So I do read a lot. I haven't read that much lately, but I tend to read quite a bit. But no, I didn't have that much of an artistic career before this. It's all hard work. Hard work and learning. I'm very obsessive though. So when I find something that I really like, I tend to get quite hooked and quite inspired. So that might be a little bit of a reason why I like this so much. What tool do you use when you want to make part of the armor 100% flat and sharp on the edges? I'll retopo. Like all of this armor that I'm doing right now, I'm eventually going to be retopoing it. Meaning I'm going to create clean topology and clean elements for it, because this is not going to fly, right? Like this is just a sketch. Right now, what I wanted to work on for this session is just a sketching. Just a sketching, a very basic like thing. Like you can try, for instance, scaling here. It's a good way to keep things a little bit sharper. But yeah, this is just a sketch. So eventually all of this needs to be redone for proper like topology. Another option is, of course, if this is just going to be a concept or a 3D print, doesn't matter. That's it. Like if this is going to be 3D printed, let's say at a miniature scale, I don't even need to do retopology. We just 3D print this and we're good to go. But it really depends on what you want to do. Is it better to study at a school or on your own, and which program? It really depends. Again, like that everyone's going to have their own experience. I went to school. I went to Nomen, as I've mentioned. And to me, it worked. Like, it was a really good investment. I've had peers who went to Nomen as well, and to them, it was not the best investment. So it really depends. There's people who are self-taught artists, and for them, that was the best thing they could have done. And there's people who are self-taught artists, and they're really struggling. So unfortunately, it's, again, one of those things that's very personal. So there's a lot of variables that are going to indicate whether or not going to school is a good decision. What I'm going to tell you is, if you can afford to go and it's not going to put you in an economics or like a situation, or you're not going to go into like depth, then it might be a good idea, because you're going to learn, again, a lot of very interesting, cool things. There's network opportunities. There's like a bunch of things that could help you on your career. However, I understand the cost, and I understand that not everyone's going to be able to afford it. And thankfully, it's also not completely necessary. Like, there's super talented people out there who are self-taught artists. They grab Maya, they grab Blender and started learning and improving their skills, right? Like their crafts. Usually, schools, tutorials, courses, things like that, what they're going to do is they're going to streamline the process. So instead of you having to figure out what works and what doesn't work, someone is going to tell you, hey, this is what worked for me. It might work for you. Again, it's not always going to be the answer, but it's a good way to again to move forward with the whole process, if that makes sense. Yeah, as MR3D MR. Oh man, I always have a hard time pronouncing your one. MR3D Dev is saying, don't get a student loan to go to art school. If you can get a scholarship, that's great. But yeah, like student loans can be, especially in the US, guys. Like you guys have like a mess with that kind of stuff. Like it's ridiculous. Like the interest and everything is just like so freaking bad. So if you don't need to get a loan, don't get a loan. Rotate the gizmo here and that up a little bit. There we go. Is it possible to do low poly models on Zbrush? Like, yeah, it is possible. You're gonna have to retopo though, or you're gonna have to work with really low topology from the get-go, which just feels counterintuitive because Zbrush is supposed to be for high poly sculpt. Is there a particular reason why you want to do PS1 style? It's not too much, to be honest. I know it's got a resurgence in some of the late years or in recent years. I particularly don't like how that kind of stuff looks. I feel like sometimes, no, I'm not telling you are doing this, but I feel like sometimes some people are using the PS1 as an excuse to not learn the new pipelines, not necessarily as a stylistic choice. Is this gonna be a pipeline model? No, it is gonna be a pipeline model. Like I wanna do a pipeline model with this one. Like, I'm not going to sure if I'm going to share the whole process. Right now, I'm just giving you guys ideas. So if you're doing, for instance, a sci-fi character for the contest that we currently have, well, some of this process that I'm showing right here could help you, right? I saw someone retopo a character to very low poly characters. I was flabbergasted. Yeah, no, you can do, like, really low poly stuff. I've done low poly stuff. I've done high poly stuff. Like, all of them are, like, both of them are good options, but I'm just saying that I personally don't like super low poly stuff as much. But again, it's just personal preference. Everyone's got their preference. Do you speak Spanish? Yes, of course. Hablo español. Soy de México. Actualmente estoy en México. De hecho, llevo aquí en México toda mi vida prácticamente. Fui a Estados Unidos para estudiar. Pero desde que me regresé en el 2016, aquí he estado. He trabajado como artista 3D desde ese entonces aquí en México. Así que sí. Oh, look, guys, this is very cool. I don't know what the hell happened here. Somewhere, at some point, I masked something, and I got this really interesting pattern. This is what Bob Ross refers to as the happy little accidents, because I was not thinking about the shapes, but now look at them. Those are really interesting shapes, so might as well keep them, right? So I'm just going to use whatever I got here. And I do need to clean them up a little bit, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to retopologize. But I like it. I like it. So let's utilize them as this happy little accent that we have right here. I'll bet the cost of living is a lot lower in Mexico. Yeah, it really helps with that. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's a big advantage. I mean, as you guys know, everywhere in the world things have gotten like crazy expensive in the past couple of years. Inflation is killing everything. But yeah, like cost of living here in Mexico is like way better than in the US. We don't have access to a lot of things that people do in the US or in Europe or other parts of the world, but it's always pros and cons, right? You gotta figure out what works for you, where you feel comfortable, what your journey is. I have a question. Is modular 3D good for money, or is it saturated? Every single industry is saturated right now, guys. That's another thing that people seem to underestimate. Every single industry, every single job, every single everything is saturated right now. For instance, here in Mexico, I was surprised to learn that medics, right? Like, they're always needed, right? Like, there's always demand for medics. But at the same time, it's saturated. Like, there's a bunch of students who are graduating from med school every single year. And then, unfortunately, they end up working very low-wage jobs just to stay afloat while they get their next, like, degree, their specialty or whatever. It's very sad. But that's the problem with population. We're so many right now, right? Like, there's so many people everywhere. And there's a saturation in a lot of careers. Now, there's a quote that I like. And I know it's not necessarily something that's going to save every single industry. But Gary Vee says that there's never a surplus or never an oversaturation of quality stuff, right? There's a lot of slop. There's a lot of, like, bad quality stuff out there. But if you really work on your craft, if you really focus on improving, then it should be, not necessarily saying it will be, but it should be a little bit easier to make a living out of this. I don't know what happened there, but you know what? I think I'm gonna... Here I kind of want to add like a cylinder. I'm gonna create like the cylindrical hole. And I'm going to add like a pentacylinder in just a second. And with quality, is it good for money? Yes. If you can provide good quality, you can make good money. You're not going to be, I'm going to say this, and this is another sort of like reality check for every one of us, guys. Even if you're like the best 3D artist out there, you're not going to have like 4 Ferraris and a mansion in Beverly Hills, right? And a private plane and a private jet. No, that's not going to happen. If that's your definition of success and money, this is not the path for you guys. Like you're not going to be able to achieve that. I can tell you. In order to get there, you need to climb other ranks. You need to be more of a business guy rather than an artist, unfortunately. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 people out there who are doing fine art, for instance, and can have those things that I just mentioned, but it's a general rule of thumb. Well, not necessarily general rule of thumb, but that's in my opinion, like that's not something that's going to be possible. There we go. Like that. But now that we have this cylinder right here, I feel like we need to have maybe a couple more. So I'm going to have 1 more right here. A medium-sized one. And 1 more right here. Smaller one. So as you can see, what I'm doing with the cylinders is they're going to sort of like imitate, not necessarily imitate, but they're going to like make it look a little bit like spines, right? So they're not spines, of course. They're going to give that a little bit of that impression. And from a silhouette perspective, that should look quite interesting as well. Vagar says, "Hey, I've been watching your short form content for so long now and finally decided to tune into the stream. I love your stuff. You helped me out many, many times." Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I'm glad the stuff that I'm doing here is helping you. I have another question. Can I send you my portfolio and tell me where I am? I send you on TikTok. No. So we don't do portfolio reviews during the live streams, my friends. We do them during portfolio review. So every single month at the end of the month, we do portfolio review. And that's when you can send your portfolio. You need to send it on the Discord channel, though. So you send it on the Discord channel, and then we take a look at it during portfolio review. We're going to be opening up submissions during the final week, so you need to be on the lookout for that. And that's when I'm going to be able to help you. Okay? Yeah, and the reason is, imagine, if I help you right now, I'm going to get like 50 portfolios at the same time, right? So it's going to be, and I don't want to like let anyone down. So that's why we do the portfolio review, to have everyone, or give everyone a fair chance. And for people to be able to do it. Now, if you want a private session with me, we can do a mentorship session. I've done that before, where people share their portfolio with me and we focus on things that we can improve and work on. That's another option. You can again send me a message on Discord, and I can share a little bit more information about that service that I offer. Una pregunta para el concurso. Estoy haciendo un personaje de ciencia ficción que es un chef estilo Planeta del Tesoro, pero tengo problemas consiguiendo referencia para el expediente de los accesorios. ¿Me podrías recomendar qué puedo hacer? try to look outside the box, right? So you're saying that you're doing a chef, science fiction chef, right? So I mean, there's nothing wrong with looking for reference. So if you look for sci-fi chef, you're gonna get some interesting things, right? And again, if I find something like, let's say this guy right here, and I really like this arm, it doesn't mean that I'm going to do the exact same arm, but I could use it as an idea, right? As inspiration. So I'm not against you using concept art and references to do that. Of course, definitely avoid stupid things like this, right? Like AI. But if you find some interesting concepts from people, definitely use it to your advantage. The other thing is, we tend to think that, for instance, sci-fi, it's only like super modern things like that. But you could potentially go, for instance, chef illustration Victorian age, right? And you're gonna see some illustrations that people did from about chefs, right, in the Victorian era. Now, what can you do with this? Well, what if we take some specific inspiration from them and extrapolate them to how things will be in the future, right? So, for instance, what do we see? The hat, right? Of course, the hat's a very common thing. Well, how do you imagine a Victorian chef would have his hat tailored or done if he was in the future, right? Or in space or whatever. So that's another one. Like, I just thought about space. Okay, cool. So let's look for astronaut suit. And you're gonna realize, hey, like the way astronaut suits look are very similar to how chef like garments look too, right? So how can I take some of the information from an astronaut suit and adapt it to how a chef would look? So maybe all of these harnesses or some of this like bends, right? Like, I don't know. Again, like that's your job. That's part of the competition. But my point is, you don't necessarily, like if you're doing a chef, you don't necessarily need to look for chefs. You can look for other things and use those things to inspire or inform the decisions, the design decisions that you make when doing a chef. That makes sense? Or am I talking crazy? Let's see. Could you explain how to use booleans and live booleans? Yeah, booleans are very simple, man. Here, let me just say this. I haven't said it. You guys believe this? Imagine if this thing had crashed. That would have been sad. So, just a quick comparison. This is how it's going. Right? This is how the character is looking. And this is how we started. So, not bad, right? A couple of hours and we already have something getting close to, like, interesting. Not done, of course, but it's getting there. It's getting there. It's an interesting project so far. So that's how it works. That's how the process works. Every little step that we make, every little step that we take, we get better and better. I mean, it can still be a charging port even if there's like multiple of them, I think. But here, let me show you guys how live booleans work. It's very simple. So the way live booleans work here inside of Zbrush is you have a shape like this one right here, and then you add another shape. So I'm gonna hit append and add a sphere. And then you position this sphere wherever you want. Let's say like right here. You turn on live boolean here on the menu. And then right here by the side of the element, there's three types of boolean operations: addition, subtraction, and intersection. So if you select subtraction, boom, the sphere is now subtracting itself from the cylinder. If we do intersection, the piece where the sphere and the cylinder are intersecting, that's the piece that I'm gonna get right there. So the cool thing about live booleans, the reason why they're called live booleans, is because this is not permanent, right? So at any point, I can move the sphere around. I can position it in a different position, right? Like it can be somewhere else. Let's say we were going to have it like right there. Cool. And this is not permanent. This is just like a preview of what the boolean operation is going to do. And the cool thing is we can add more pieces. So for instance, if we do add, let's say we add this box right here, scale it again, and I'm going to remove, right? We can have something like this. So trying to model or sculpt something like this, it's pretty much impossible. Like you're never going to get this super clean result like what I'm getting right here. I'm going to duplicate again. I'm going to scale it a little bit more. Let's also remove there. And boom. Like imagine this, right? Imagine I give you a concept piece and it's like this. There's absolutely no way you're going to be able to again, it's like sculpt or poly model this as easily, right? Now, here's the kicker. I'm going to give you guys a couple of little things. Let's append another sphere. And now let's say I want to have this sphere here, right? And I'm going to append the cylinder. And I want to perforate that sphere. I'm gonna grab the cylinder. I'm gonna do this, right? So we're gonna go through the sphere. If I set this to minus, this thing is perforating the sphere, but it's also perforating the other piece that I had with light booleans. Well, that's what this little arrow here is. The first arrow on the interface, that's a new boolean stack. So if I click on that, as you can see, there's a new thing that says start. So that's telling Zbrush, hey, I want you to, like any new boolean operation that I add after this one, it's now gonna start on this one. So it's not gonna affect any previous boolean thing that I had right there. So if I were to now append, let's say, another cube, and this cube will also reduce or remove, as you can see, it's not affecting the original piece. It's only affecting the sphere that we have right there. I'm going to be able to create something like, I don't know, like this, right? So that is called a Boolean stack. So now we've created two stacks. We have the first stack right here with cylinder, the original cylinder, and we have the second stack right here with the sphere. And you can build as many stacks as you want, right? Like different like subgroups of Boolean stacking to, well, create whatever it is you need. And once you're happy with this and you actually want to make this an actual Boolean mesh for 3D printing or for high poly sculpting or whatever, you need to go here to Boolean and you need to click this button that says make Boolean mesh. And when we do that, we're going to have a new tool over here where you're going to have two subtools, one for each stack. This is the original cylinder that, again, we can just Dynamesh and keep working with, or this is the sphere right there that we can, again, Dynamesh and keep working with. That's how light Booleans work, okay? Similar to pass-through? Not necessarily, because that's more texture-oriented Top Game Studio. These are just like stacks, like groups, more like groups, I would say. The little start thing is more like groups. Marco Lingo says, I'm so insanely jealous of you. Why? No, don't be jealous, man. Hopefully be inspired. Like, if there's something I want you to be is inspired so that you can do it. Dude, if I could do it, you can do it. Like, if I could learn all of these things that I'm teaching you guys can learn them as well. Yeah, no, Zbrush is again, it's a very powerful software. Very, very powerful. You can use show polyframe, you will see the model of the CPUs and model them. Yep, you can also do that. Let's see. Have any more questions? Okay, we're getting to the end of our stream today, my friends. We're getting to the end of this Friday live stream. I know it's a little bit late for some of you guys, especially if you're watching in Southeast Asia or Asia. Well, Krogmancer, you just got here. Don't worry, the replay is going to be available on YouTube. So if you guys want to watch it later on there, it's going to be available. We talk a lot about the game industry and its current situation, but how good or bad is the animation industry? That's a great question. That's a great question, Lutri. So I would say, hey, there we go. We got Ian here. Light Booleans can be in folders as well. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I'm going to have to play with that one too. So all good, man. All good. Just showing them the magic of Zbrush. Been having a lot of fun with this like hard surface guy right here, just on the blocking stages right now. I'll probably be using the Retopo tool next week to show them how to clean this up. Can we ask you questions on Discord? Yes, we can definitely answer some questions on Zbrush. Not always there, but are we going to get any Retopo session on this model? Yes, but not today. It's probably going to be next week. So for your question, man, Lutri, I would say the animation industry is actually like in a relatively nice space because animation has been one of those things that AI hasn't been able to touch as easily. So if you want like really nice, clean, cartoony animation, you are going to definitely need to have like people with good principles on animation, right? There are some like mocap tools that we've been using. For instance, we showed the Rococo suit a couple of months ago. There's Cascador that we showed earlier today, but still like you need to have the principles of animation. So right now, animators are a little bit safer. I would say not entirely, right? But a little bit. The industry that's suffering quite a bit is the film industry, unfortunately. Like there's been a lot of like shops and studios closing their doors in the past couple of months because it's becoming, again, very expensive, time frames, and it's been kind of like a race to the bottom. So things have been a little bit tricky for the film industry, especially the VFX industry. I've been on the VFX subreddit, and the sentiment there is very, very pessimistic, unfortunately. I'm not in the film industry, so I'm not gonna be able to give you a more informed opinion. However, again, in animation, like I've seen some really cool animation projects in the past couple of years, so I feel like it's an industry that it is at least holding a little bit better. I'm not an animator myself, but it's a skill that you still need to know, again, like the really good fundamentals for. Kupkar says, thank you for your content. It always motivates me to keep learning 3D. After physically demanding work, I often lack energy, but your materials lift me up and remind me why I started. There you go. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for your kind words. I'm glad that the kind of stuff that we do here in the channel is helping others. I know life can be tough. And that's why I think art is so rewarding, right? Because even after a long day of work, we can always find ourselves like doing a little bit of art and hopefully giving us that little energy, creative energy back. Using just the transpose tool here to clean things up and, you know, get something interesting. The main thing that I'm thinking of right now when doing this, guys, is something known as plane changes, right? Like, I don't want planes or most of the characters to have the same sort of like silhouette. So I'm doing plane changes to ensure that we have an interesting silhouette. What do you think how difficult it is to do in my own game? Something like Peak with no industry experience, just by hiring tech artists. It's possible. It's possible. And I mean, we saw it recently with like the Mecha Chameleon game. You guys see that one? Very funny to watch people play that one. And from a technical perspective, from a technical point of view, I wouldn't say it's like freaking like revolutionary, right? In terms of like again, like visuals or tech. It's a very innovative idea. It's a very good take on the prop hunting thing that Call of Duty made famous a couple of years ago. But I wouldn't say it's like, again, like artistically revolutionary. Same thing for, like, for instance, Expedition 33. It's a beautiful game. It looks amazing. But art style wise, it's a realistic game, right? And we know we have all of the information to do that kind of stuff. I would like to see someone try doing like a game in the Arcane style, not just hand painted, because the Arcane, the film or the series, it used other techniques to like shade stuff and have this really epic look. It's very expensive, unfortunately, right? But it's really cool. So it is possible. Definitely possible to do what you mentioned there, man. Did you hear about the union busting from Rockstar? No, but unfortunately, outsourcing is another one of those things that's hitting the industry. I mean, I say unfortunately, but interestingly enough, here, at least in our community, we have people from all over the world. So for some people, outsourcing it's a bad thing. For other people, it's a really good thing. So that's just how economy works, right? Like the global like scale of things. I haven't read the news about Rockstar, so I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, Gary's mod was the one that like made that stuff. Interesting. Is Arcane totally hand painted? I think most of it is, yes. I think most of it is hand painted. I don't exactly know what software they use. I think they use 3D Code for most of, or for some of it. 3D Code is really good for hand painted. They have some really cool sculpting things as well. Someone is asking here about the voxel light booleans. So the only difference about or one of the difference from 3D Code and Zbrush is that I believe the volume, the voxel sculpting that they have actually generates. Because right now, for instance, this guy right here, this is technically not a solid mesh, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not entirely sure how the programming works, but it's more like a shell, right? And inside of voxel sculpting, you actually do have the whole volume. So it opens up other types of possibilities, other types of options. Have you ever used Instamat? I tried it. They actually reached out to us a couple of years ago and they want to collaborate. I tried it, but I couldn't get it. Like, the interface just didn't do it for me. It's very difficult. Oh, they use Mari. Interesting. Yeah, I guess it makes sense because they were working with higher quality maps or higher, like more UDIMs. haven't used Mari in so long. I learned it when I was at Noman. It was funny, when I was at Noman, Substance was still not that big of a deal. Like, it was still owned by Algorithmic, and they were, I don't want to say they were like underdogs or whatever, but it was not as heavily adopted. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is the future. I mentioned this anecdote. I was in my demo reel class, and I was doing a project that had some sci-fi like robot guys, and I told my teacher, hey, I want to use Substance for this guys, and I'm gonna use a like, they didn't have Udemy support back then, but I was like, I think I can figure out a way to use like smart materials to get around it and get like a similar result to if I was using Udemy. And at that time, everyone was using Mari at Noman, and I was like, I want to use Substance, and my teacher was like, hey, well, I'm not gonna tell you not to do it if you really want to do it, but I don't think it's a good decision. I was like, no, I really think I can do it. And when I finalized my project and I showed it to him, he was like, hey man, not too shabby. So he liked it. It was like, not bad, right? So I proved to him that it was possible to use Substance in a more advanced, because at that time everyone was using Substance just for like game assets. So yeah. Hey Ave, how do you go about adding details with alphas and panels on clean panels, or will you cover it? I would probably do that after Retopo. Yeah, so I would definitely require, like, if we want to have like really clean details, you definitely do want to have clean topology as well. So it would not be a good moment right now to start adding that kind of stuff, because it's just gonna break. It's gonna break. It's not gonna give us the cleanest results that we might want. So yeah, we'll cover that next stream. Okay. I'll finish the blocking for this like this chest piece or whatever, and when we'll do Retopo and stuff like that, and then I'll show you. Hey, Abe, can I know how can I get that cursor lines directly on your it's a bug, man. I don't know why they're there on the stream. It's OBS doing something funky. It's like I'm not seeing those lines. I know what lines you're referring to, which is like a weird, like, yeah, I don't know what it is. I really don't know how they work, but it's OBS or the stream doing something, because I don't see them. I know they're on the recording, but I don't see them. Are you going to add floaters to the armor piece? That could be a way to do it. Yeah, that could be a way to do it. See you later, Mango. Glad to have you here. You're working on your project. See, did I miss any question here? So there's like an alpha preview on the stream. Can you see it, Alan? Like inside of the red circles, I can see it here on the TikTok preview, and I can see it on the OBS preview. So there's like it's kind of like if it was like the alpha of the brush, but there's no alpha on Zbrush. It's kind of like what you see on Photoshop when you're like drawing. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to get rid of it. Again, I'm not seeing it. Like in my Zbrush screen, like I don't see it. It's not existent. But here, it's there. Let's add some like very simple. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep it simple now. This is where paneling could start like happening, right? Like where people start adding like some interesting lines or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna stop it right here, guys. I'm gonna stop it right here for now. We can make arc install in Substance. Yes, you can do that. Do you have any of the projects you did at Noman? Yeah, I can show you. So it's on my ArtStation actually. There's some of my demo reel pieces. Not all of them are here. I'm not sure why I didn't add them, but for instance, this was a demo reel piece. It was an environment piece. I should have more breakdowns. This was before I knew how to properly do portfolios, right? But I should have added more breakdowns. This is another one. This was one of my first portfolio or demo reel pieces that I did, full character. This was definitely done more for like cinematics, so I was using like tons of UDEMs and displacement maps and everything. So look at that, 11 years ago. Wow, it's a long time. And that's it. Those are and this one. I also included this one on my demo reel, which this was a Victorian village that I did. Not the greatest, to be honest. Like now I see it, it's like, oh my god. I could have done so much better. But at the time, well, this was my skill. Always learning, always improving, right? So yeah, those 3 pieces were part of my demo reel of my portfolio. And then the next pieces that you see after that, those were actually either portfolio pieces or from actual like jobs. So for instance, this one was one of my first characters that I got paid to do. It was for a game that unfortunately didn't release called Realms of Conquest. And it was very low poly. Very, very low poly, as you can see right here. So all of the information was big. Now, here's the fun thing. Like, I've mentioned this before, but when I was at Nomen, my goal was to be a cinematic artist. Like, I want to be working at cinematics, like at Blur Studios or like Blizzard Cinematics or Digic Pictures. Like my idea was I wanted to be a cinematic artist. However, like, life took me in a different direction, and I had to start learning about the game pipelines, and now I'm a game artist. So if you see my portfolio, most of my stuff is game-oriented, game-related. So I had to learn about bakes and low poly, high poly workflows, and I had to learn about like PBR maps and hand-painted maps and a little bit of everything. So that's how life is. Sometimes you have an idea of what you want to do, and life brings you or takes you in a completely different direction. Yeah, exactly. So on this character right here, all of the like the bumps and things that you see, that's all like baked. So like those like stone things that you see right there, those are baked. I mean, this is not impressive to me now because I've improved as an artist in the past couple of years, of course. But back then, yeah, this was again the skill level that I have. So if we go for something a little bit more recent, like this one right here, right? A lot of the detail that you see on this thing, the wood grain, the elements, which by the way, this is an art test. If you want to do it yourself, like all of the information is on the resources. So here on exercises, it's the old cooler. We have all of the reference images. You can give it a shot and time yourself and see how good or how fast you're at making something like this. The idea with this was doing it sort of like a Resident Evil style, right? So in here, all of this information, like as you can see, the low poly is very low poly, very, very low poly. Just like straight planks, right? And all of the detail lives on the normal map. So the normal map is the one that has all of that like sculpted and texture detail to really give the element a lot more life. You have classes online where you're showing now? Yeah, so I have classes. I have a site where we share the courses. So these are all the courses that I have, a bunch of them. So if you want to learn Zbrush, if you want to learn Substance, if you want to learn Marmoset, if you want to learn hand-painted style, Blender even, Maya. So I have a course for pretty much all of the main softwares that we use here on the industry. If you're starting Zbrush, for instance, this is definitely the one that I would recommend. It's one of our best sellers. It's called Zbrush for Character Artists or Zbrush Stylized Characters. And we do this Oni. It's a very famous Oni. I actually have the 3D print right here. So this Oni course right here covers all of the things that you need to know all about Zbrush. If you're, again, completely new to Zbrush, we do an introduction to this interface, the tools, how it works, everything. Then we go through modelers, subdivisions, booleans, and then we start working on the character itself, right? And so as we go through the creation of the character, I show you more tools about Zbrush and about how it works. If you have an iPad, we released the Zbrush for iPad one last year? No, 2 years ago now. Wow, my God. Zbrush for iPad has been around for 2 years now. So this one is a little bit more exercise focused. So we have 5 different exercises that we go through. And again, while doing the exercises, I show you how Zbrush works and how Zbrush for iPad works, which is very similar. Like if you learn Zbrush for iPad and then you move to Zbrush for PC, it's the exact same thing. Like the tools are the exact same thing. The interface is the only thing that's a little bit... is the only one that's a little bit different. Would you say that the courses you offer are all the ones you need? No. So you like these are a great starting point. They're gonna give you a lot of like the main tools that you are gonna need for to be an artist, right? But you still need to like get even more information from other people, from other classes, from other places. But it's gonna give you a really good start. Like I'm very proud of my courses, to be honest. I spend a lot of time planning out the exercises, preparing the videos. Alan helps us here with the editing. So I think it's going to give you a really good, solid foundation. But I would not say that, oh yeah, just take this course and now you're going to get a job in the industry. No. Like, no. And nowhere in my courses do I ever say that. The courses will give you the necessary information to start. They will give you the foundations, not only the technical, but also the artistic foundations. But then it's up to you to keep creating more pieces, to keep growing as an artist, to complement this information with other courses or other videos or other books or other things. But yeah. Do you update these courses? I update them when they have like really big changes. So for instance, on the Zbrush course, actually, on the Zbrush course, we did update this one here on the bonus chapter with the retopology tools last year. So on December last year, they announced the retopology tools for Zbrush, and that was a big thing, like a really, really big thing. So I thought, hey, we definitely need to include that here on the course, because it's now one of those like really important things everyone should know about. So when I see that the software includes like a really, really big update, yes, I do update the courses, but I also try to make the courses as timeless as possible. So that's why I'm mentioning I don't only teach you the technical tools, I teach you the art fundamentals, like why do we use these tools, so that if later on you take the course and tools have changed, you can still see like, oh, okay, it's the exact same thing, maybe just the UI or the interface changed a little bit. Where can we find the links to the Discord? I can just link it to you here. I'm not sure if TikTok allows you to click the links, but you can just copy that link and that's it. So I'm gonna link it everywhere. So that's for YouTube, and that's for Twitch. So everyone should have access to that. Yeah. So that's where you can try. And most of the courses, by the way, some of the lessons at the start are free, so you can check them out so that you can see if you like them or not. No, the courses are available only in English. They do have subtitles. I do believe most of them have subtitles now, if not all of them. And what else? There's an option though. If you have access here to Google Chrome, you can go and there's a little thing. I don't have it right now here, but there's a little thing that you can use, and it will auto translate the captions or the audio. So it will translate it for you. No, we don't have any promos. We don't do promos here. We don't believe in promos. We do giveaways every now and then, but we don't do discounts. The freelance scene is actually really interesting, because freelance is gonna be very dependent on how you move your own brand and yourself, right? So it's very dependent on your skills, on you marketing your skills and your connections, of course. It's definitely a little bit slower as well. Like, I'm not gonna deny it. Like, I haven't gotten as many freelance gigs as I used to a couple of years ago. So a couple of years ago, I would probably get like 8 or 10 different freelance gigs per year. Nowadays, it's probably like 3 or 4 big ones, right? Like, talking big, like substantial ones. Small ones, you get a little bit of that every now and then. But yeah, like it's definitely a little bit slower. However, I do feel like freelance is going to be more and more prominent in the next couple of years, because it's going to be a lot easier for the studios to hire a freelance artist for a specific thing that they might need, rather than having them on their workforce, right? Do you have to learn anatomy if you want to be a character artist? Yes. Freelancing course coming soon? No, but like I don't think I'm the greatest one at showing you that specific skills, but there are people who do that. Oh man, I don't know the name. There's this very famous TikTok artist freelance tips. Let me see if we can get the image of this guy. No. There's this guy with a mustache, and he talks about freelancing, and he's got some really good tips and advice. I don't have it right now. I don't remember his name. The next time I get his video on TikTok, I'll make a TikTok about him so that I can promote his stuff, because he's got some really good insight about freelancing. No, it's not Elemensa. It's not Elemensa. Elemensa is really good though. Like if you want to learn hard surface stuff, he's really, really good. How high level do you need to have for the mentorship with you? That's a good question. So, I mean, as long as you already, like, normally I recommend mentorships for people who are about to graduate or who recently graduated and who need that, like, extra push. If you're just starting out and you are just learning about, like, 3D and Zbrush and stuff like that, you're gonna get more value from courses and from the videos than from the mentorship. Because on the mentorship, it's not that I'm not going to explain the basic stuff to you, but it's like, hey, you're paying quite a bit of money for the mentorship, and I'm going to be teaching you basic stuff that's even free on my YouTube channel. So I feel guilty about that as well. If you're wondering if you're, let's say, ready for a mentorship, or if a mentorship is going to benefit you, just send me a DM on Discord and show me the pieces or the portfolio that you're working on, and I'm going to be able to tell you, hey, yeah, this is looking good. I can help you out with a mentorship. Or, hey, you know what? Like, maybe we're still in the early stages of your career. I would rather recommend you take this course or this information or this thing right here. So mentorships are 55 USD per session. That's the cost of the mentorship. But I can share more information about how I like to work with mentorships via Discord, because there's more things that I include other than just like the session itself. Paulina Martinez, I miss you too. I miss all of my students. Yeah. Says, I really miss the class I took with you back in uni. I learned a lot. Yeah, I know. I miss live classes, to be honest. Nowadays, everything is virtual, or most of the stuff that I do is virtual. And I do miss when we had like actual like classrooms and stuff like that. The reason why I stopped doing that, because that's a question I get asked every now and then, is because I realized that not every student that was present on the classroom was actually present on the classroom. I've mentioned this before. I think that was the one time that broke me, right? Like I was teaching a class, and I showed them the exercise. Everyone was on their laptops, and then after I showed them, I gave them some time for them to work on it, and I started sort of like going around the room, and at least 3 or 4 people were playing games on their laptop instead of doing the exercise. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I'm here trying to teach you and trying to help you with your career, and you're playing. There was a guy playing League of Legends, like in the middle of the class, ranked, and it was sad. It was sad because 1, he was playing League of Legends, and 2, he was losing. So it's like, dude, you're failing twice here. Not only are you not paying attention to the class and learning the stuff, you're actually losing points there on rank because you're not like doing the proper like things, right? So that was just like very, very sad. Do I know Nomad? No, I haven't used Nomad in a while. Like I know the basics of it. Don't say that, Hassan. Like, you say as if you were if you're proud of that. Don't do that, man. Just like, if you're going to class, like, learn. Actually learn. Let's see. Yeah, it's sad. The current teaching situation is also very sad, unfortunately. That's why I like doing my courses, because with the courses, it's like, hey, this is what I want to teach. If you want to learn it, go for it, man. Here's the information. If you don't want to learn it, like, move on. Move on. Do you think Blender is good enough for sculpting? Yes, but it's not like, it's nowhere close to Zbrush. It's really good. You can get some really good results, but it's not close to Zbrush. What would you think of making a video game demo as a portfolio piece? Yep, that's a good. It's not called a demo. It's not called a portfolio piece at that point. It's called a case study. Case study, and a case study can be a part of your portfolio. But yeah, that's good. The courses are in English. Abiral Kumar says, "Hey Abe, saw your video on Sony and the future of 3D. Really motivating and inspiring, even amidst a lot of, yeah, the situation right now in the industry, as I've said, guys, it's shaky, it's chaotic. But chaos doesn't necessarily mean that this is going, again, to implode and be destroyed or whatever. Within chaos, we can find certain things that are gonna bring back a little bit of that hope. And hopefully, after the chaos sort of like settles down and we are back into a more in a better status quo as an industry, that's when opportunities start flourishing again, and you need to be ready for those opportunities." Yeah, exactly, Skylar Sculpts. That's why I stopped teaching again, like in an actual classroom, because I just felt that for whatever reason, some students, not everyone, some students were just not there. It's like, dude, why are you, if you don't want to be here, just don't be here. But it is disrespectful. It is disheartening. Imagine, again, like waking up early, going to the school, preparing your class, preparing the elements, and then giving everyone the tools that they needed, and then not taking them. It's like, what are we playing at? So that's why I was like, no, if I'm gonna teach to people who actually want to learn, not to people who don't want to be here even. In Lightning, do you only send a demo reel or a portfolio in ArtStation? Yeah, you can do both. Demo reel is usually good if you're gonna be having some dynamic light, right? Because you can see how the light is changing. So a couple of videos and things like that, those are good options. For artists who do want to work in a studio, do you think you should strive to be more of a generalist? Not necessarily a generalist. Big studios usually do prefer specialists. Small studios do prefer generalists. But you should know or have an idea of how other parts of the pipeline work, right? So for instance, in my case, I'm a modeler, but I know how rigging works. I've done rigging before. And that allows me to prepare my models so that the riggers don't struggle with them as much. I'm not an animator, but I've animated before, so I know what kind of things animators are expecting in terms of deformation or loops or things like that to make sure that the rig works a little bit better. So even if you're not going to be doing some of the other parts of the pipeline, right, like you're not going to be an expert or actually like working on that stuff, knowing how those things work can definitely help you be a better artist, because you're going to be able to prepare things in a better way for the team, right? Remember, this is a team game, right? So if you're a good team player, if your models are clean, if your UVs are working properly, if your topology is following the things that animators and riggers are going to be using, then you are going to be a valuable asset to any studio and to any production, because you know not only your stuff and your skills, but also how some of the other skills are going to work, and that's going to be useful for everyone, right? So that's the thing that you want to go for. Magutso, what's up, my friend? Welcome. Which are the ZBrush basics I need to know for your anatomy course? So if you take the Oni course first, that's going to teach you all of the basic things that you need, so that then you can specialize a little bit more on the anatomy course. Now, if you already know some of the basics, like if you can do, let's say, what would be a good like demo? Yeah, because you don't like mainly the interface. So for the anatomy course, you mainly want to do the interface of ZBrush, because I'm not gonna be teaching you how C-spheres work. I'm not gonna be teaching you how the clay buildup works. I'm not gonna be teaching you how to rotate and move around. So if you know how to move around and use the basics of ZBrush, then that's a good like moment to jump. And you don't necessarily need to do the whole like thing. Starting chapter 8, we focus on 3D printing. You do this one right here. Oh, let me show it to you. Not everyone. So this is Duncan right here. This is the character from the anatomy course, and we printed it at I think 1/5 scale or 1/4 scale. I don't know, like quite big. So if you're interested in 3D printing and some of the things that you can like use to 3D print something, that one's a very handy course as well. So yeah, this is Duncan. We'll paint him sometime. Not yet, but sometime. And we do both. We talk about filament printing and resin printing as well. Do you have any pet peeves? I have a lot of pet peeves in the industry, man. I'm not sure if there's specifically something that you might want to know about, but I have a lot of pet peeves. Yeah, it's like any other industry, man. Like there's Kepkas, you're gonna make me blush, man. There's a lot of like as with any job, I've mentioned this before, right? Like it's a job, guys. Like even though it's very fun and very cool to be doing what we do, it's still a job. You're still gonna have horrible bosses. You're still gonna have overtime. You're still gonna have badly paid gigs. You're still gonna have people with opinions that are making the decisions and the calls who don't know anything about 3D or art or games in general. And hey, they're the guys with the money, so you gotta follow them, right? So there's a lot of like very bad things. Yeah, exactly that. Like there's a lot of like shitty things in the art industry, but every single industry has this, right? Every single one. Now that you mentioned specialization, is there currently more demand for realistic or stylized modeling? It's complicated. I think they're very close. I think they're very close together. Are painting 3D prints hard? It's tricky. It's another skill. It's tricky. Let's see. Abe, I know you're the kind of teacher who learns how to fish. But actually, there are a ton of teachers saying that show how to fish. Did you give the fish and we don't know how to do the work when we're alone? Do you think it's been a... Oh, yeah, that's definitely a trap, man, Anthony. And I'm glad you brought it up. I hated that. I've had several teachers that worked that way. And every single time I had one of those teachers, I hated it because... not the teacher, right? The way they teach, right? Because that's very true. Like, I hate when someone tells me, oh, this is how you do it. Just click here, click here, click here. That's it. Yeah, but why? Like, I want to understand the why, right? Like, if you're gonna learn something, one of the best advices I can give you is not only learn the steps to do that specific process, learn why those steps work. Why are you following those steps? Why are they the useful things? Because if you don't know why, you're not an artist. You're just a button monkey, right? Like, you just know how to press things and not really understand. And here's the very scary thing, and that's why AI is so dangerous as a learning process, especially for younger students. You might think that just by generating models and getting them to look nice, or images or whatever, now you're an artist. First of all, you're not. You're just a prompter or whatever. But the point is, you're not learning why those models or why those drawings or why those generated things work or don't work, or right? Like, you don't know the design principles, you don't know about proportions, you don't know about composition, balance, silhouette. Like, there's so many things that you don't know about. You just know how to press buttons, and you don't want to be that guy, because the moment they ask you to do something and you don't have the tools to do them, that's when you're gonna struggle. However, an artist, even if you give me a brick of clay, I'm gonna be able to create this exact same character that you're seeing right here if you give me a brick of clay and a couple of like sculpting tools, right? Because I know the why, I know the forms, I know silhouette, I know anatomy, I know design. So you need to know the why of things. Run away from any teacher, any mentor, any school, any program that's not teaching you the why and the fundamentals of the process. If they're just teaching you how to get a result and they don't explain, again, the reasoning behind that result, that's not a good place to learn. It's just not. So yeah. Definitely be careful about that. Oh, that's great. Joe's 3CD. You got an internship. That's amazing, dude. Congrats. Speaking of demand, what part of the 3D pipeline is the most in demand? Oh, that's a good question, man. It's the thing is, oh man, such a tricky question. So I don't want to say, oh, this is the part that's in demand, because then everyone's going to be like, oh, I'm going to study that because I'm going to get a job doing that. No, that's a very wrong way to approach things. So every single part of the pipeline requires a specific set of skills, right? Usually the technical side of things are the ones that are going to have a little bit more demand, because people don't usually want to do them. Okay, so if I tell you, hey, rigging, right, has always been one of those, like, oh, everyone should be, like, if you are a rigger, you're never gonna be out of work. Again, not necessarily, but yes, usually people don't like rigging as much because it's more technical. It's a little bit more like a math oriented and things like that. Similar to like I don't know, like BFX, for instance. People are a little bit scared of BFX because it tends to be a little bit more iterative and it requires other types of skill sets. Unfortunately, grooming, yeah, that's another one, right? Like, grooming is very, I don't want to say tedious, but it's slow. It really requires a lot of patience to be able to get like a really nice groom on your character. So the thing here is that there are definitely certain skills that pretty much everyone knows. For instance, modeling, right? Pretty much every single 3D artist, either you're an animator, a BFX artist, a rigger, like, it doesn't matter what part of the pipeline you are, you probably know how to model at least the basic stuff. And that's where people stop, right? Like, they're like, oh, I want to be a modeler, cool. And then they do the donut, and then they do a barrel, and then they do a fire hydrant or whatever, and they're like, cool, I'm a modeler, hire me. It's like, no. Because everyone else in the world can do that as well, because most people know how to model those simple assets. However, if I tell you, hey, can you model or can you sculpt this kind of like mechanical things and suits with proper topology, proper UVs and things like that, not everyone can do that. Once you start specializing and really pushing those skills to a really high level, that's when you start differentiating yourself from everyone else. But if you look online, right, if you look for, again, like simple 3D models, I've had this. And we had to have some rules on the portfolio review, because I would get portfolios with people saying, hey, I modeled this house, I'm an environment artist now. No, man, you're not. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the one to break your dream, but if you show me this, you're not an environment artist. Like, you're not going to be hired at, again, like CD Projekt Red to model some villages for The Witcher, because you're not showing me that you know how to do that. If you show me something like this, okay, you're getting better. You're improving. You're definitely, again, differentiating yourself from all of those who can only do these very simple things, right? But if you really, really, really want to be an environment artist, you would need to do something like old medieval house 3D model realistic, right? So you would need to do something more along these lines right here. Now you show me this on a portfolio and you're like, hey, I'm an environment artist. I believe you, because not everyone has the necessary skills and the necessary knowledge to be able to do something like this, right? So it's not the same to be doing, again, something like this or something like this, right? That it would be to do some of the houses that I showed you before. That's the problem with like modeling. So if you tell me, oh, there's too many modelers out there, yeah, there's too many modelers out there with this level, right? Like a lot of modelers out there can do this level right here, and that's a problem. If this is your level, yes, you're competing again thousands and thousands of students and 3D artists who can do the exact same thing. But if you show me some of the other ones that I showed you a couple of minutes ago, then the pool of people that you're competing against, it's a lot smaller, and that gives you better chances to be able to make a living out of this. Because if you are doing that kind of level and I tell you, hey, I actually need this level right here, it's gonna be easy for you. You're gonna be able to do this in like a couple of hours and you're done, right? That's the problem, or that's the thing, right? Like you need to be very smart about how far you push your skills, because if your skills are again this, no, I'm sorry, you're not gonna land a job. You're not gonna make a living out of this. But if your skills start like improving and you're getting better and better and better and more specialized in certain like toolkits or whatever, that's when your chances go up. Okay. Is there a possibility that the AI takes some of the 3D jobs in the future? No, AI is not going to take jobs. People who use AI might take jobs, but as we've seen recently, people are realizing that there's usually more rework by the stuff that AI produces. Even if AI got really good, you're still going to have a lot of approvals and a lot of people who are going to ask for changes and a lot of like hands on deck, like telling you to fix or modify things. So you're still going to need 3D artists. Will we see more AI in our work? Unfortunately, yes. It will depend quite a bit on the studio and the pipelines, but there might be some studios where they are using a lot of AI stuff, and then you're going to have to clean that stuff up. My advice is, if that's paying your bills and you're okay there, fine, but under your free time, keep working on the actual human side of things, right? Again, it's a complicated situation. Let's see. Hey, I want to buy your stylized character course, the one using 3D code. Is this a follow-along course, or is there a theory too? And after that course, we'll be able. Yeah, no, it's a follow-along one. It's a follow-along one. So I'll guide you through all of the steps of the process to do the pirate here, the undead pirate, which, by the way, it's an amazing concept by Labros Panosis, who was very cool to allow us to use the concept. So we'll go through all of the things that you know, but I will teach you, again, I will teach you the why. I'm not just going to tell you, click here, do this, do that. I will teach you the why we're doing all of the decisions. And I actually have a student here. I want to show him. He's really good. Let's see here. So his name is Alejandro Terán. I actually did a mentorship, or he did a mentorship with me. And he did this course first. I'm really proud of him. He's one of the students I'm really proud of. He did such a good job. So he took the course, the Undead Pirate course, and instead of using that concept, the Undead Pirate course, or the Undead concept, he picked this concept from the same artist, from Labros, but he did this other concept. So instead of following the tutorial with the Undead Pirate, he followed the tutorial with this character right here. And look at how amazing it looked, right? He did a great job. Great job. Follow every single thing we taught up there. Topology, proper deformation, good color balance, good value studies, everything. He did that such an amazing job. And then he took a mentorship with me, and we worked on this character right here. It took him like 3 or 4 months, I think, to do this character, but again, such an amazing job. He's super talented, super talented. So if anyone's looking for a hand painted stylized artist, Alejandro, he's the man. He's a really good artist. So yeah. How do you find good, not AI concept? So ArtStation is usually good. There are some filters that you can use, I believe. So if you go here to the... where is it? Is it here? Here, there you go. Hide projects with AI. Awesome. And then we can go to, for instance, character art. There we go. Character design. And there you go. So there's going to be a bunch of them right here. And then sometimes there are more filters that we can add, like only 2D and stuff like that. But yeah, like using, like if you can go to a site where there is filters, so that you can filter out AI stuff, that's a good way to do it. Inside of Google, you can also do it. So for instance, if I look for, I don't know, like Western cowboy concept, I believe you can write -AI, and it's gonna remove. It doesn't always do it, but it should remove a lot of the AI slop. And you should be getting like more specialized, again, like information here. Juano, This is gonna be the last question, guys, because I need to go. After this one, I need to go. I got some stuff to do. But I will be answering this question because it's a very good one. It says, Abe, how did you start getting freelance gigs? I know it might be different currently for you, but how did you get your first and maybe the first 2 years of freelance gig? Great freaking question, man. So, the moment you can sell something to someone you don't know, you're already in business. That's the secret, right? Of course, that's not exactly all of it, but it's a good way to realize, because it's not the same for me to go to my brother and say like, hey dude, do you want me to do a little like a sculpt of your D&D character and we'll print it and use it in our sessions? And even if he pays you like $50 or $100 or whatever, that's not really you being in business, right? Because it's your brother, it's your friend, like they're almost doing you a favor, right? By accepting that like deal. The moment you sell something to a stranger, you're in business. So what do you do to be a freelance like 3D artist? You go to a freaking stranger and be like, hey, my friend, nice to meet you. My name is Abe. This is what I do. I saw that your business is about this. What if we collaborated and we do something together? I can help you out. What do you need? Remember that as freelancers, the main thing is that we solve problems. What problem do you have? Do you need to increase your sales? Do you need to have a better presentation? Do you need to teach people about your product? Like, what is it that you need and how can I help you? And the moment you offer that solution, you charge for that solution and then you do business. I'm going to give you a little tip here. And this is actually how I started. The first time I started doing this kind of like freelance gigs, or the first time you're actually creating a collaboration with someone, you can offer them a discount. Be like, hey, normally I would charge X amount for this, but for you, I'm gonna charge Y amount. But let's make a deal. If this works, the next time we work together, you will pay for full price. That's the first like deal that we make. And if anyone asks you how much it cost you, you will tell them that it's X price. You won't tell them that I gave you a discount. That's kind of like a deal, right? So the moment you finish that first collaboration and you successfully deliver something that is looking quite nice, there you go. Now you have a proof of concept, as we call it, right? Like you have an actual proof that you made something that someone else that you don't know, that's an stranger to you pretty much, is now using for their business. And you use that as a credential to sell something similar or the same thing to someone else. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. That's how you can start building up that career. And after you have 3, 4, or 5 different clients in that specific situation, you're in business. Now you're in business, right? So I know it sounds very crazy to think about this, but you can start very, very small. Let me show you here. Do I have it? Yes, I have it. I'll show you something here. So this was a couple of years ago. Actually, several years ago. There you go. A person saw my stuff and they were like, hey dude, I need you to do a ring for me. And he was like, I've never done jewelry before. He's like, no, it's very simple. I just need a ring and I'm going to 3D print it and we're going to cast it. And this is what he wanted. So this is it. This is why I literally delivered. I think I have the final one. I have like the STL right here. The STL? Yeah, here. I'll open the STL so you guys can see it too. But this was the first time I ever did jewelry design for a client. And I think I charged him, if I'm not mistaken, I think I charged him like $75 for this ring right here. And as you can see, like I didn't model this skull from scratch. It was like a mesh that I got online, like a realistic scan. And then my job was just to blend it and manage to capture the specific silhouette that he wanted. So I wouldn't say this is like the best design ever, but this is what the client wanted. And I charged him like $75 for it, right? And this was yeah, there we go. So this is the final STL that we did. I had a little bit more grunge and more damage. That was like an initial one. There's like the logo of him right there. So this was what I at the end finally delivered, right? For him to 3D print. And he did it. Like they look very, very cool. Like he showed me the rings later on and they look very cool. So what's the cool thing about this? Well, once I finished this project, the next time someone reached out to me and he was like, hey, I need you to help me with some 3D printing. Have you ever done 3D printing before? And it's like, yeah, sure. Here, I did this for a client a couple of years ago. We did this ring and I showed you the STL. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That gives me, again, credentials and gives me sort of like a history, right? So that people are like, okay, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing because he's already worked with someone else, and it seems like that other person was happy with his work. And then it was funny because a couple of years after that, I got called again. It was like another girl, and she was doing jewelry as well. Here we go. I'll show you. It was a very interesting one, and she had this idea where she wanted to do a color for, what's the word, for a vet, and we did this one. So it was a dog, and then we had the inside of the dog with all of the anatomy, right? So it's a necklace that like you can sort of like open up and get the dog to show like the inner sides of the dog. Again, a little bit bizarre, I'm not gonna lie, but hey, she liked it, and we collaborated on this one. So again, it's those small little things. This is never going to be in my portfolio, by the way, because of course, as you can see here, the quality might not be to the quality that I want to show in my portfolio. But back in the day, this helped me pay the bills, like the rent for a month, right, or something. So that's one of the things that I want you to be aware of. Like, not every single thing that you're going to be working on is going to be like a masterpiece that's going to be on your portfolio and it's going to open like all of the doors. But all of those little accumulation of projects and accumulation of clients is what creates your network. Because let's imagine, like God forbid, in the next couple of years, I have a really bad moment and I'm out of work. Well, the first person I'm going to call is the jewelry girl. I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm available. Is there any project that you might need some collaboration with? And she might say yes. She might say no, right? But the point is, every single client that you work with, every single project that you finish, every single thing that you do, and every single connection that you make could potentially be a door that opens up again for you in the future. That's why you need to be out there, like talking to people, sharing what you do with them, seeing if there's any way you can collaborate, because that's how you build up those relationships. And especially as a freelance artist, that's how you build, again, your network and your safety net, so that you always have something happening around you. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much it, my friends. Oh man, you guys are making so good questions. I'm now tempted to answer this question right here. It says, hello, sir. I recently started as a 3D faculty, so as a teacher. Could you share how you explain technical terms and 3D concepts to beginners so they understand them easily? Yes. The answer is analogies. Analogies are the easiest way to explain something, right? So when I'm explaining a very complicated concept, you need to figure out easy, relatable ways to explain how that concept works. So I'm going to give you a perfect example. Let's say I'm going to grab a cube, right? Go. Let's just go to initialize, and let's make this very small. On polyframe. There you go. And let's make this a polymesh 3D. So for instance, first class of 3D with my students, I talk about bevels. Looks like, oh, let me show you the bevel tool. The bevel tool is a very common tool that we have in every software, and it's a very important tool because it allows us to what? And the technical answer is to remove volume, right? So if I tell you bevel allows us to remove volume from an edge and allows us to have sort of like effect like this. Again, if I say the words, everyone understands the words. Bevel removes volume, and it allows for a smoother transition from one plane to another. But that's a very technical answer. So what's an easier answer to tell them? It's like, hey, look at your desks. Can you see how the borders of your desks are not like perfectly sharp? So if you sort of like rub your finger against it, you're not going to get cut, right? There's a little bit of a roundness. Well, bevel is that. Bevel will help you round the corners of your element. And there you go. We took a complex, sort of like technical element, and we used something that they can easily relate to because they can actually touch the desk and feel the corner of the desk and understand that this tool is doing something to round the corner. So that's how I break things up. Like, one of the most important things as a teacher is to be able to break down very complex topics and simplify them. And the way you're going to do that, this is very important. The way you're going to do this is you really need to understand it first. That's why the why of the things is so important, right? I mentioned this before. If you don't understand why the tools work the way they do, then you're not going to be able to explain them to anyone because you don't really know what's happening. So in order to be a good teacher, you first need to be, in this case, a good 3D artist and a good technical artist. You need to understand the tools so that you can then transfer that information or share that information with someone else. That's again, like the secret to teaching. And that's why I tell people ask me, oh, is teaching easy? It is, and at the same time, it isn't. Like, it's another skill that you need to develop. Not every single artist can be a good teacher. And, of course, not every teacher is going to be an amazing artist. So there are different skills that you also need to work on and build on so that you can be, well, in my case, hopefully good at both, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much it. No, this is Zbrush, my friend. KLC. So it says, thank you very much for the streams and everything you do, Abe. It helps so much to fill in the gaps between what I learned in school. Yeah, I've always seen myself as like the DLC guy of the industry. So people go to schools or they learn certain things, and hopefully with the stuff that I'm helping you, it's exactly like bridging those gaps and making sure that the understanding is a lot more clear. Okay, so that's it, guys. That is pretty much it. It's been a long stream today, but I had a lot of fun. We were working on this alien. For those of you that are just arriving, the stream is going to be available on YouTube in case you guys want to check it out later. And we started, I told you, with this guy right here, so no armor, and we pretty much focus only on like armor ideations, creations, blockings, and things like that, while at the same time talking about a lot of like very, very cool things. So if you guys want to help the channel, well, the best way to do that is, of course, by liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting on the shorts. It really helps us grow. We're really close to another big milestone here in the channel, which is the 100,000 subscribers on Zbrush. I think when we get there, we get a little like a silver plate, so that's gonna be pretty cool. And don't forget that we have the contest going. The contest is currently live on the Discord channel. You can be a part of this and win amazing prizes by our sponsors, Marmoset, Topogon, 3D Code, and Cascador now as our latest sponsor to join this amazing contest, as well as the cash prizes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's it, guys. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you for this amazing stream, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Okay? Don't forget, always learning, always improving. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye.